an experienced trucking accident lawyer can navigate the complicated federal and state laws to protect your rights. If you or a loved one has been injured in a trucking accident, call Davis Law Group today for a free consultation or get my free book on trucking accident law at washingtonaccidentbooks.com.
Hey, it's John Curley with Dr. Kopstein from K2 Vision RLE. Doc, I heard that 50% of Americans have their lenses replaced by the time they're 75.
That's exactly right, John. As we near 50, our eye's natural lens starts to become dysfunctional. If you've now added readers to your need for glasses and contacts, it's a sign the quality and function of your natural lens is fading, and it's a steady decline towards cataracts.
Don't go another 20 plus years with poor vision, hassling with contacts and readers. Do what I did. Choose a quick, painless refractive lens exchange from K2 Vision RLE and start enjoying great vision now.
Our new lens technology is truly amazing. After replacing over 100,000 lenses, we have the experience to guide each patient to their best solution, even if that's recommending you wait a little while before RLE.
K2 Vision RLE can restore distance and near vision permanently, plus never develop a cataract. Read the reviews and schedule a free Zoom consultation now at k2visionrle.com.
It's Olympic Hot Tubs Mid-Year Clearance Spectacular, June 28th and 29th from 9 to 6 at our Auburn warehouse. You'll find incredible savings on one-of-a-kind saltwater and pre-owned tubs, swim spas, and saunas. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Steve Kathan. Israel's defense minister has threatened Iran's supreme leader after the latest missile attacks hitting residential buildings in Tel Aviv and a major hospital. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
They can give this nonsense that they're targeting military sites. What military sites? I know all the military sites in Israel. There isn't a military site here for miles and miles around.
Here in the U.S., President Trump is said to have a plan ready for U.S. attacks in Iran, but has not decided whether to go ahead. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns says Trump supporters are split on this.
You have, the MAGA portion of the base really urging the president against any U.S. intervention. On the other hand, you do have some hawks like Lindsey Graham saying that what needs to be done needs to be done.
At the State Department, CBS's Olivia Gazis has more on efforts to get American civilians out of Israel.
How many departures will be offered? When and where will they depart from? Where will they go? How many family members can be included alongside an American citizen who is choosing to depart? All of those are unanswered so far.
President Trump says he has signed the order granting TikTok another reprieve from being banned in the U.S. as it pushes for TikTok to be sold by its Chinese parent company. CBS's Jim Krasula tells us extreme heat is an issue in many parts of the country or will be soon.
Many places will see 100 degrees well into next week. The National Weather Service has posted extreme heat watches across parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, and all of Iowa. Santi Pantino is trying to beat the heat in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
I mainly just stay inside, try to get out of the sun, drink a lot of water too, and just kind of just hang out.
There's a good chance of severe weather, including a tornado threat today from North Carolina all the way to northern New England.
Well, the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers may have overdone it. CBS's Michael Wallace says the cup has suffered some damage.
The bowl atop the 132-year-old trophy is cracked, and the bottom of the cup is dented. The Hockey Hall of Fame says the keepers of the cup will have it repaired in time for Sunday's celebration parade in Fort Lauderdale.
Well, today is Juneteenth, the federal holiday marking the end of slavery. Deion Sims is the granddaughter of the woman considered to be the grandmother of the holiday, Opal Lee.
As the legacy of her idea that birthed the movement continues, we're wanting everybody to take up that mantle of ensuring that freedom does not go by the wayside. And that's what Juneteenth means. It's about freedom for everybody.
This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Another child.
The latest in the search for Travis Decker, that in just a moment. But first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Center, we are looking pretty good this morning. We are having a Federal Way to Seattle drive of 35 minutes on I-5 northbound, Linwood to Seattle 24 minutes. Even Renton to Bellevue is looking better than you would expect on this holiday drive. 25 minutes on 405 northbound. Issaquah to Seattle 23 minutes. The lake bridges are looking pretty clear. And Tacoma, speed limit drive all the way down from Federal Way to Tacoma and then on to Olympia. This report brought to you by AAA. These three little letters are the key to more summer fun, discounts, roadside rescues, and more. Join AAA Washington today.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Jillian Raftery. A new search in the hunt for Travis Decker in central Washington. He's the father accused of killing his three daughters. Yesterday, one of our reporters tracked a helicopter circling an area a mile away from the town of Kashmir. Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison.
We believe that if he is out there and he hasn't, prepared to a point where he'd have supplies readily available, he's going to have to start coming back in towards civilization. I would hope he has no friends or allies out here in society, and I think that's going to make it tougher for him to evade us.
Investigators are following up on tips and bringing in experts from all walks of life, including psychologists and psychics. You can find a whole lot more on this on mynorthwest.com. At Lincoln Elementary School in Wenatchee, a permanent memorial is going up for those Decker girls. Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, 8, 5, and 9, all went to Lincoln Elementary School in Wenatchee. According to KIRO 7 TV, the memorial will be a buddy bench. That's a bench children can sit on when they need help. It's a signal for teachers or other children to sit with them so they don't have to be alone. Newly released body camera video shows Edmonds police rushing in to save people at a ferry dock after a Mini Cooper went into the water Tuesday night.
I think they launched pretty far. Not sure. We can't even see where the car is at.
The Washington State Patrol says 2 people are dead and 3 are seriously injured following a deadly police chase in Snohomish County. We're now told it was illegal fireworks that sparked an explosion, then a fire at a house on Whidbey Island Tuesday. The local fire chief tells KIRO 7 TV a man living there was making the fireworks. That man died in the flames. More layoffs coming to Microsoft. Here's KIRO News Radio's Frank Lindsay.
According to Bloomberg, Microsoft is expected to announce thousands of job cuts early next month, which would be after the end of its fiscal year. A lot, but not all of those cuts would be in sales. Just last month, 6,000 workers were laid off at Microsoft. Most of them held product and engineering positions. At the end of June of 2024, Microsoft had 228,000 workers. 45,000 of them were in sales and marketing. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. 71 degrees today, partly cloudy. Rain returns tomorrow, more Saturday. It is 59 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO Newsradio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Good morning and welcome to the Gee and Ursula Show. Gee is out today. Mike Lewis is in. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ursula.
It is Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day. I think I've got a problem with my teeth. Freedom Day or Emancipation Day. So fewer people on the roads today. Some places maybe
I gotta
closed.
say, though, there's a small list of things that I miss about the pandemic. But clear roads is one of them. And this morning,
feeling good.
I'm not suggesting that I would ever speed.
Yes.
But the roads were wide open on the way here. It was lovely.
Speaking of speeding, if you have a cell phone, you might be helping out the State Patrol when it comes to being a traffic informant. We'll give you the details on that coming up at 9:30. As always, we invite you to join in on our text line, 888-973-5476, 888-973-KIRO. And with that, let's get our top stories at 9 going, brought to you by Bathfitter Northwest. So, Mike, Microsoft is reportedly preparing another round of layoffs, this time potentially thousands of jobs, with many cuts aimed at sales teams this time. According to Bloomberg News, the move comes as the tech giant pours billions into artificial intelligence. You might remember that Microsoft cut about 6,000 positions back in May, and the company is now on track to spend $80 billion just this fiscal year alone, mostly to build out the massive data centers that power AI services. And Microsoft is not confirming the timing of all of this, but insiders expect an official layoff announcement early next month. And for context, the company employed about 228,000 people as of last summer. So far, we're not getting any comment from them. But it seems like every day we're getting these headlines of another tech company, massive layoffs.
Yeah, we've got... if you go down the list, the Puget Sound Business Journal did an interesting story just a couple of days ago, talking about job losses across multiple sectors. Since December 2024, so not all that long ago, 4,400 construction jobs, 3,000 transportation jobs, 2,800 jobs in the professional sector, information food services, another couple thousand. Like, it's not just Microsoft, and it's not just Amazon. We talk a lot about those. It is across the board. We're rolling through this thing. It's not the big R word yet, but it's getting a lot of the feeling of that.
But just remember a few years ago when it felt like all of these companies couldn't hire enough people, and it was so many people moving in here. And of course, that resulted in higher prices when it comes to housing, but people with big fat salaries. And the sad reality is that more than 75,000 tech jobs have already been cut worldwide just through May of this year, compared to 55,000 in the same period last year, which, was bad enough.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, but and then, you've got Amazon CEO Andy Jassy telling everybody, oh, just be warned, we're going to try to do more with fewer people, and AI is going to be helping out with this. The folks I feel the worst for are recent college grads.
Yeah, I feel bad for recent college grads as well. I think anyone who's entering the job market, as you and I, same age, we entered journalism at a point where everyone was laying people off. I mean, it was
We've only known layoffs.
I didn't know, literally, I was one of 4 people, and I went to a fairly large journalism school at San Jose State University who actually got a gig out of college. I mean, most of your friends or colleagues didn't in college. Most of mine didn't as well. Many of them never ended up in the career. And so I'm not saying that I went through it, you should too. I know what it feels like, that way back then. But I've got something else to add on this one. So we've had these waves of innovation in this country that have taken away jobs. Here's the difference now between now and what has happened historically is historically, those job losses tend to affect service and blue-collar workers. You have innovations in manufacturing, and it's blue-collar. The difference in the AI revolution is it's white-collar jobs it's coming for. Radiologists. It's coming for coders. It's coming for all of these jobs, post-college jobs.
Big income jobs.
This is a whole different strata of people who have been affected by the big innovation events. This is a different thing, and honestly, it's why I think everyone's paying so much more attention to it now, because it is the white-collar jobs and not the retail. People who worked in retail, people who worked in manufacturing, they've been dealing with this stuff for decades.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, according to Forbes, I mentioned college grads. Recent college grads are facing nearly 6% unemployment and more than 40% underemployment. And I just know friends of mine who have recent college grads are saying, my kid's struggling to find a job right now.
Everyone I know. I mean, this is why... make sure when you are furnishing your house, if you have kids who are in high school now, sleeper sofas.
This is true.
These folks are moving back home.
But my brain always wants to go to the positive. And if you are well versed on AI, 60% of tech managers are actively hiring for AI engineering roles compared to 35% last year. So that's where you're seeing the growth.
Except that it innovates so quickly.
Yes, it's true.
If you start into school on an AI,
this is true.
Who knows if that job is even going to be waiting for you 4 years later, right?
Well, here's the other part. Forbes also says that these U.S. firms are looking at international talent as well. So you got a lot of competition.
Just for some comment on the sales jobs, because I have done sales before.
Yes.
I did direct sales and customer service with dental clinics all over the world. And part of that is, you approach a potential client, right, to establish a relationship. These are international, so it was largely by email. And over the course of, say, 2-3 years, you build out this knowledge base of how to answer every question. And you create a template, right? So that any new agent coming on board knows how to respond to things. Well, now you could have 1,000 people AI agents doing cold calls, replying to people, getting all the way up to contracting before you ever need human intervention. And that is staggering.
But here's the weird thing, though. I mean, the one thing that these stories don't mention that stories just 3 months ago did is when Microsoft claimed it was getting rid of middle management, it wasn't, right? Microsoft actually was getting rid of coders. Microsoft was getting rid of engineers. It wasn't getting rid of the marketing team. In fact, they found that their customer service got worse with AI. And a lot of companies in the United States are rolling back their AI bots because they don't work so well in customer service. But what they do really well is like basic line coding. They're very, very good at that. And so the weird thing about what Microsoft is announcing now regarding marketing and sales, they've had their own lack of success in this area. So I'm kind of curious. They also are famous for not actually identifying the jobs they're getting rid of. They say something very different from what they actually end up filing with the state.
Okay, well, as long as we're talking about tech companies, Amazon's back in the news because Amazon corporate employees who are not working in hubs like Seattle need to pack their bags or start polishing their resumes. That's the message. This story comes from Bloomberg. They're saying that Amazon is quietly telling thousands of corporate employees to relocate to main hubs like Seattle, Arlington, and Washington, D.C. And they're not blasting this out in mass emails. Instead, the message is coming out in one-on-one chats or small team meetings. And when CEO Andy Jassy issued that return to office mandate earlier this year that wasn't that popular, there was no requirement to work from a designated hub. So people could pick from satellite offices all over the country. So the wink and the nudge part is that staff who won't move might be, quote unquote, encouraged to quit on their own, which
So we know what's going on here.
Yeah,
I mean, the same with the word return to work. This is cheaper than laying people off. That has nothing to do with return to work. It has everything to do with shedding employees.
Yes. And you had mentioned in our morning meeting today, which is a figure that I hadn't heard. I mean, the cost of laying off versus, hey, we're going to
it's substantial.
Have you quit.
So the standard in Amazon and many jobs, let's just say sort of the white collar jobs you think of, not the highest level ones, but the low and mid ones. It tends to be between like $23,000 to $30-something thousand, depending on your job title. You can go on Reddit and find this stuff. There's a whole pattern that you need to follow to get yourself to a severance place as opposed to a fired place with Amazon. And so Amazon knows, they do the math and the employees do the math. You either work yourself, if you're going to be leaving, you try and work yourself into a severance place so you can at least get some money on the way out and get an extra couple of months of health care. Or what Amazon would prefer is finding a way to get you to quit, because getting you to quit is much cheaper over the long haul. And this is why the return to work, this is why relocate to hubs, and this is why they're just saying this stuff, and sometimes they're
laying it out right now,
they're not even enforcing it in some cases because they want you to get worried and they want you to start looking. Because once you quit, you're a cheaper loss.
As always, we love it when we hear from Amazon employees with this new message from the company. How are you feeling? Or how are you going to be responding? We'd love to hear from you. Text us 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. As they hunt for fugitive father Travis Decker, Chelan County deputies are chasing every possible lead, even looking at tips from psychics. KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey has interviewed the sheriff, and he joins us now live with the latest.
Yeah, talked with Mike Morrison just yesterday, and he told me, look, out of the hundreds and hundreds of tips that they've received around the country, some do include tips from psychics and, where to look for Travis Decker. What is he doing? And he tells me some of those psychic tips were relevant enough that they shared them with federal investigators.
They've reached out and they've given some theories, and of course, we've made an effort to look into some of those, and we appreciate them just being willing to, offer their services.
And speaking of new tactics, I'll throw in this other thing as well. Morrison also tells me that, they're constantly trying to, there's the physical evidence side of things, but they're trying to get into the mind of Decker as well. We've reported that they've consulted behavioral scientists with the FBI, but now he tells me that they have a U.S. Marshals psychologist on site with them in Wenatchee to try to predict what Decker will do next.
And because of his background, they believe he is still alive and he's able to survive, even though all he had was whatever he had with him.
They think he's traveling light, maybe a T-shirt, pair of shorts, and a tree limb for a hiking stick. That was the lone hiker that they saw in the enchantments about 2 weeks ago or so, and they think that was Decker. And yeah, I asked Morrison, do you think he's still alive? Do you think Decker's still alive? Without hesitation, he is convinced that Decker is out there and he is still alive.
The immediate reaction, Mike, is, oh my God, they're resorting to psychics now, or they're going to be looking at these tips from psychics, which my first reaction, my knee-jerk reaction is they're getting desperate and they have no leads, or they have no good leads. And this horrific person who's accused of just the worst type of crime may be able to get away with it. But we also said the fact that, that's one of many things that they're looking at, it keeps it in the news.
Totally. And if they, like he said, if someone who calls and self-identifies as psychic and says, hey, I was thinking like these ideas, and they're like, oh, well, actually, we hadn't considered this idea or that idea. Why not? I mean, more information, as long as it isn't distracting and as long as it isn't like turning an investigation the wrong direction, I think it's great.
Are they still convinced that he is in the state of Washington? Because he had been researching Canada.
It's a great question. He researched Canada. There was a U.S. Marshal's affidavit that was filed in federal court saying that he had searched for jobs there, how to relocate to Canada. But here's the deal, what I've seen in the last couple of days. So we have heard the news. You probably have. You're listening. Tactical teams have been looking for Decker in Kittitas County, not too far away, about 5 miles away from Cle Elum. They're telling everyone in that area, be on the lookout. Check your trail cameras, your ring cameras for any signs of Decker. But yesterday afternoon, I saw and tracked a helicopter search, a new helicopter search, a government helicopter in the mountains, just a mile away from the town of Kashmir. So don't know where he is.
Trying to cover a lot of ground.
But the one thing that we are seeing is these areas are closer and closer to populated areas, no longer in the thick, like in the enchantments in those areas.
I don't think he would be out of the country because it's about 170 miles, like as the crow flies from that campground to the Canadian border, and he'd be making it through backcountry.
Yeah, no way.
I don't think he's there.
The PCT takes about a week through the state of Washington, a week and a half through the state of Washington, and it's some of the most rugged on that trail. So he potentially, I guess, could be there, but look, if he's on the run and he's hiding in caves and mine shafts and things like that, probably not.
Luke Ducey, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, this news, Mike, was so disappointing to me. A Seattle foodie favorite, Din Tai Fung, is dishing out nearly $570,000 to settle allegations of wage theft and shortchanging workers on meals and rest breaks. According to the Seattle Times, the payout covers more than 1,200 cooks, servers, and kitchen staff across Din Tai Fung's Pacific Place, University Village, and Soto commissary locations, and this dates back to 2020. So some of all this comes down to missed breaks, which, as we were discussing this morning, does that not happen in a lot of these industries, service industry businesses? But investigators also found the chain fell short on paid sick and safe time. Seattle law guarantees workers paid time off, not just when they're sick, but also to handle family or safety needs with unused hours rolling over each year. Din Tai Fung says they are going to be tightening up policies. They're going to be retraining their managers, and they will improve how they track breaks and time off. And the city's labor standards director says this case should remind all businesses knowing and respecting your workers' rights is not optional in Seattle.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm happy that they did the enforcement. I'm a little bit, honestly, I'm always surprised when there's a successful case against a major employer, particularly major restaurants.
Why is
chains.
that?
Because it's so overlooked. You have to have a workforce willing to talk, which is not always the case. And you have to have there's a lot of data gathering that needs to happen for something like this and it typically involves sort of the larger chains, particularly places that are busy all the time. And this is, as you know, this place is busy all the time.
All the time. I mean, it might be my favorite restaurant in Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle was the first place they opened up in the United States, right? And so people would, like, that became a destination location when vacationers would come to Seattle. I mean, so the place was crowded all the time. For me, it's sort of encouraging that they're actually paying attention to worker conditions, because I think in many cases, in many jobs, Amazon warehouses being a great example, frequently this stuff gets overlooked.
Okay, I'm curious, though. I am curious, and I want to hear Chef's take because
I think we just heard it.
Well, yeah, okay.
I have very, very strong thoughts on wage theft, right?
Yes.
Because I have been asked, like, hey, just, trim off 5 minutes here or there, and that's how you'll make your labor numbers. That was a former chef that told me. I see this stuff happen all the time in restaurants.
Trim off 5 minutes from your breaks or what?
No. From the employees' clock out time every day. Like, as egregious as that to restaurateurs taking tips from the employees, right? They'll do a tip pull, they'll take a cut.
Little patience for this, because I know a couple of places in town who have done it, and I know people who've worked for those places, and it is, that gets me like very bent out of shape, because that is so deeply unfair.
What's interesting though
is this is not that though. This is not that. I mean, if you're listening right now, I don't know what profession you are in, but just ask yourself, when was the last time you took a lunch? When was the last? Because as a cook in a busy restaurant, you don't have lunch. It just does not happen.
Or how about the 10-minute break every 4 hours?
A lunch or those 2 10-minute breaks, there's no way you would have your station set on time. You would not be able to make it through service. Service is usually longer than a 4-hour period to begin with if you're talking about dinner. And so it's not really feasible. So if they want to have like restaurants tack on half an hour of pay or something, but it's just not possible, I don't think, in a lot of professions to get your breaks, your full breaks.
So are you on the side of restaurants that can't really
I think
live up
they
to
need
the
to
state
come
law?
to some sort of accommodation on this, whether it's extra pay. I mean, the sick leave thing, that's a totally different story. That is egregious. But mandated break time, I'm up in the air on that, man. Yeah. That's just like the nature of some work. Like if you're flying an airplane on an 8-hour route, how do you take a half-hour break?
Yeah. Okay, we got I feel like we've got more to talk about on that one. We might have to bring this back. Okay, still ahead, we're going to be talking about a new tool that the State Patrol is going to be using, and it's your cell phone. More on the Gee and Ursula Show coming up next.
As the nation's biggest news story makes its way to right here at home.
Anti-ICE protesters turned violent in downtown Seattle.
Trust KIRO News Radio.
Team coverage begins with KIRO News Radio's Gwen Baumgartner.
Watching people graffiti the side of the federal building.
It's why local news and experience matter.
Now to my colleague James Lynch.
I've never seen that large of a contingent of Seattle police officers, an extreme show of force.
KIRO News Radio. Local news coverage you can depend on.
Hey guys, it's Keith Dashafi from Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington, and we are not done celebrating 100 years of industry leadership. For a limited time, get $100 off every window, $100 off every door, or choose 60 months of 0% financing with no interest and equal payments. That's right, 100 years strong, and we're giving you more ways to save on the Pella difference. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaPNW.com. Thank you again for letting us serve you in the Northwest.
I've got to get a new car, and things are crazy right now. 1 minute costs are up, the next minute it's something new.
Go to Subaru Puyallup. Their stress-free promises never changed. Through natural disasters, supply hiccups, you name it.
So they're still holding today's prices?
Yeah, they have over 300 Subarus still at current rates and guaranteed stress-free pricing and trade-ins. You should get in now.
I really need to swing by there. Want to go with?
Let's go.
Secure today's pricing on tomorrow's car at Subaru Puyallup, your stress-free dealership.
Hey, get in. What? Who are you? I'm future you. Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Yeah. Mia, our doctor figured it out. She said it's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Smoked paprika in your go-to goulash? That's go-go goulash. Sometimes a different way is the better way. like the SR 509 Expressway, an alternate route that'll help manage congestion and provide better access to SeaTac. Open soon, free through summer.
Are you worried about economic conditions, tariffs, and inflation? Are you tired of trying to time the stock market? Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given current market volatility. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Hi, I'm Scott Rurucka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years with zero investor losses, averaging double-digit returns since inception, and we also accept IRAs. Over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Feeling uneasy? Don't gamble your hard-earned money or risk your retirement. Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, returning 9%, has limited openings for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit LegacyG.com. That's LegacyG.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at LegacyG.com.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, don't neglect maintenance on your vehicle. Keep it safe. At Bucky's Complete Auto, we have you covered with no credit financing. For over 50 years, Bucky's has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. There's a Bucky's just about everywhere for oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. No appointment necessary and financing is available. Check Bucky's.com for the location near you.
Seahawks training camp, powered by Boeing, is back at the Virginia Mason Athletic Center, July 23rd through August 12th. Take in stunning lakeside views, grab autographs from your favorite players, and let the kids join in on pre-practice football drills and more. Register now at Seahawks.com/training camp.
Cars for Kids, your trusted charity for car donations, also accepts donations of boats, RVs, motorcycles, and real estate. Call today, 877-CARS4KIDS.
Business leaders know to solve a problem, you gotta look at it in a new way. Like travel between Seattle and Portland. Why is it such a pain? I-5 traffic, TSA slowdowns, SeaTac hassles. Seaport removes those pain points. We fly out of Boeing Field and a private terminal at PDX. You park for free, steps away from your plane. And with flights every 45 minutes, you're always home for dinner. Problem solved. Seaport Airlines. It's about time.
Hey there, Dawn Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. Today is the last day to save big during our mid-year clearance spectacular. All 8 of our Puget Sound showrooms are open until 6 p.m. This is your last chance for incredible savings on one-of-a-kind saltwater hot spring spas, plus deep discounts on pre-owned tubs, swim spas, and saunas. Do not miss this. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub. KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and MyNorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Jillian Raftery. As Seattle protests for peace. An Iranian missile attack overnight struck civilian targets in Israel. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
A missile from Iran struck the main hospital in southern Israel early Thursday, wounding people and causing major damage.
Several wards were completely demolished, and there is extensive damage across the entire hospital.
In response, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered Israel's military to intensify attacks on Iranian targets, and Israel's defense minister said Iran's supreme leader should not continue to exist.
President Donald Trump has called for Iran's unconditional surrender. In South Portland last night, hundreds of people surrounded a Department of Homeland Security building. When cars needed to get out, law enforcement officers in fatigues, body armor, and helmets advanced with non-lethal blast balls and gas canisters. You can hear that in that clip. People dressed in black lit fireworks and got into brawls with federal officers. Portland police made 2 arrests. A recall for a children's cough syrup.
Little Remedies, we make it all better.
MedTech Products is voluntarily recalling some bottles of its Little Remedies honey cough syrup because of microbial contamination. The bacteria in question can cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and stomach cramps. So far, no illnesses have been reported. The recalled 4-ounce amber bottles were sold between December 14th, 2022 and this month. Customers can request a refund on MedTech's website. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Ferry fares are going up, according to the Washington State Standard. The jump is 3%. A new credit card fee and a bigger summer surcharge are also on the way. That brings us to the Beacon Plumbing traffic desk. I-5 in and out of downtown Seattle is pretty tough right now. Overall, the drive is not that bad when you look at the macro level. Federal Way to Seattle is 35 minutes on northbound I-5, and Linwood to Seattle is 26 minutes on southbound I-5. Part of that issue on the northbound drive, there's a collision blocking the left lane, so that's going to be a little snag. But once you get out of those two areas, we are speed limit drive all the way to Everett and then all the way down to Tacoma. Do watch out, though. I-5 northbound at South 272nd, there is a collision blocking the left lane that will cause some very small slowing. Renton to Bellevue on 405 is 25 minutes. Issaquah to Seattle, 23 minutes on I-90 and 29 minutes on 520. This report brought to you by Harnish Auto Family. Over 40 years, the Harnish Auto Family has built a stellar reputation on trust, respect, and great deals. Find your next car at harnishautofamily.com. Harnish Auto Family, people matter. Weather by State Roofing and Exteriors. Only getting up to 71 degrees today, partly cloudy, rain tomorrow, and in the 60s. It is 59 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Gee and Ursula Show.
Hey, I'm kind of feeling like I'm skipping around today on Juneteenth.
Ursula's here. It's Mike Lewis filling in for G. Scott. If you have a cell phone, congratulations. You've quietly become one of Washington State Patrol's newest traffic narc. According to King 5, troopers are using data from more than 1 million cell phone users. This is data that they've gathered already. This is not data they're collecting in real time. To pinpoint where people speed, brake too hard, sneak in a text behind the wheel, all of that sort of stuff. The state bought that data from Michelin Mobility Intelligence, which collects it from navigation and driving apps many of us use every day. So now instead of setting up random speed traps, they're actually using data and they're zeroing in on the exact stretches of road where you folks, not me, you folks are driving too rapidly. Ursula, what do you think about this?
I love it.
Really? Do you speed?
Not okay. I know what
yes.
folks are ready to. No. What people are going to say, they're going to text and say, "Oh, Ursula's a boomer. She usually drives too slow," or "I camp on the left lane." That's not true. I drive the speed limit. I have. You know what? Can I just tell you?
Do you drive the speed limit in the left lane? You do camp in the left lane, don't you?
No, I don't.
You know how highly I think of you. So so I'm going to choose to believe you, even though in my heart I don't believe you.
I don't. Every once in a while, I maybe stay too long in the left lane and I'll get out. And I will say that people have used their horn on me probably more than others.
Are you buying any of this?
Yes.
Well, I mean, just to give you a little purview into our morning meetings. So it usually starts with Ursula at her house. Then I hear her clip-clopping down the stairs.
Yes.
And then I hear the bing, bing, bing of her car.
Yes.
And then about 5 minutes later,
you start hearing honking?
Yes, I hear honking.
Hands-free.
It's a hands-free call.
Yeah, it is a hands-free call.
Oh,
but Ursula. I have shared that, like, when I'm on
Roosevelt. So your data
Roosevelt,
is actually not then helping any. You're not actually narking it. To your credit,
they are not
they're not
going
getting
to be
any
looking
benefit
at me.
from you.
No,
right.
Because over the next 6 weeks, the troopers are going to be watching 4 hotspots. I-5 from Joint Base Lewis-McChord to Fife, Fife to Auburn, north and south of Everett, and then a 14-mile stretch of I-90 through Spokane. And again, I think this is brilliant. And they're using
I think they
data
absolutely. I'm fine with them using the data to do this. It doesn't bother me at all. The nice thing is for me, since I do so much both cycling and motorcycle, I'm not on my phone on my motorcycle 100% of the time. So,
but don't act like you're this innocent motorcycle.
Oh, I'm not asking like
it.
I'm saying that I do speed, but my data, but no one's gathering my data about it. Well, actually, technically, I am carrying a phone. So if that is actually feeding them, they probably are gathering some of my data. Absolutely.
I say this often on the show, but I am just amazed and also disgusted by how reckless people are on the freeways these days.
I agree with you on that point.
It's outrageous. There's not a day that goes by that I don't see people darting in and out at incredibly high speeds.
That's true.
And so Chef was asking this morning, like, do we really want State Patrol to enforce speed and speeders and crack down on speeders? And my answer is heck yes.
Yeah, I think they probably do. At least in Washington State. I mean, I grew up with the California Highway Patrol, and they were famous for all kinds of tactics because in California, most of the time I was a young driver there, and even into probably 30 to 32 years old or something like that, they didn't have radar down there. And the reason they didn't have radar down there was one state rep named Dick Floyd. And Dick Floyd had gotten so many tickets, he refused to allow funding of radar for the California. That one person, he got so spun up about them. They used airplanes. They had all kinds of timing tactics. They were very good at getting speeders, regardless of whether or not they have radar, and it's a very different sort of environment. But I don't mind. I think that most of the time in most states, they concede that 10 miles an hour window, right? They don't really worry about if it's a 65 mile, they don't worry about 75. I think that makes some sense. If it's a 65 and it's 90, jump on them.
Yes.
I totally agree with that.
Okay. You and I, we've shared that you and I, we're the same age.
Exactly.
Almost exactly the same age.
Yes.
How many tickets have you gotten in your lifetime?
So are we including automated traffic cam tickets? Are we including? Are we looking at points?
Sounds
are
like
we
it's
looking
a
at
difficult
points?
answer.
No, it's an easy one.
Just throw it all there, all of them, because I can tell you mine easily.
What? None?
I've had one, but it was expunged. It was removed because I did go to court and I fought it, and I'm not going to share how I fought it. But understand that I have an attorney for a husband.
Driving at 16, which is I don't know, like 70 years ago, I probably have had speeding tickets, maybe 10 since then.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay,
maybe
sorry.
more.
I don't mean to laugh, but you were questioning whether I'm the safe driver.
Oh no! I wasn't saying you were an unsafe driver. I was saying you're a slow driver.
You're an annoying driver.
Yeah, you're an annoying driver. But I wasn't saying you were. I never at any point said you were unsafe. I will say this though. I also never ever, and people who know me know this, I think I'm a pretty polite guy. I've only gotten out of one ticket in my life, and the only way I got out of the ticket was actually weirdly I got pulled over in Queen Anne between my house and the bar, and because the alarm had gone off, and I was racing down there on the motorcycle.
Mike owns a bar. In case you don't know.
I get pulled over, and the officer, the Seattle PD, he was a very nice guy, pulls me over, and I get off and I take off my helmet, and he says, "Why were you speeding?" And I said, "Exuberance." I said, I'm like,
I got nothing here.
It's a nice day. I needed to get there fast. And he just started laughing. He says, "You get a warning for that." The only time I've ever gotten out of a ticket.
My one and only ticket, and again, I had to go to court to get it removed. But I was pregnant at the time, and I was trying to use my pregnancy as a reason I was just a little distracted. The cop was not going for it at all. Another SPD officer.
Guy,
he just nice try. Here you go. Okay, Chef, I'm almost scared to ask how many tickets you've had.
Tickets?
Yeah.
2.
Oh, there you go. See?
2, just it.
Mike,
and,
you're the outlier.
I know.
And both of them were
but
actually
not many in the
coming down from Stevens Pass.
Ah, okay.
Right, like when you cross over to Leavenworth and it's just bombing
maybe
down.
2 in the last 10 years. Maybe not even
nice.
That. Yeah.
Okay, so you've slowed down a little bit.
I've slowed down a lot. I mean, in virtually every way.
So, hey, text us, though. We want to know. On this holiday, when you're not dealing with a lot of traffic, 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. Do you want speed limits strictly enforced?
No. Well, here's
Chef
the
says
thing.
no, I say yes.
How many times have you ever seen the crazy driver on the road get pulled over? I've never seen the crazy driver.
I pray that crazy driver.
But I've seen people who are pacing me at like 72 or something get pulled over. Or I've been pulled over pacing someone who's driving even faster than me. You know, so
one of the most satisfying things for me is when that crazy driver, and you're like, okay, that person is going to kill somebody, and then a few miles down the road, you see that person was pulled over. That is like the most satisfying thing to see.
So I would also say, though, I mean, you know, one of the ways this could be people, if insurance companies allowed people to put a tracker on their cars and then gave them a deep discount for always driving the speed limit, people would, I mean, if you start giving them not a financial incentive to not speed in that they don't get a ticket, but an incentive to just drive slow or the speed limit all of the time and cut their insurance rates. If there is something on the actuarial table why not do that? Why don't insurance companies take advantage of this and monetize it? I don't know.
Because they
lose money. Right, exactly. There's an incentive to speed.
Okay, still ahead. Okay, you got to listen to this next segment. Mike's going to lead us through this one. Why aren't more young people having sex? Yeah, we're going to cover that here on the Gee and Ursula Show. Stick around.
Jake and Spike.
How you doing today?
Oh, fabulous.
You're looking a little, are you a little glum?
No.
Oh, you're fabulous.
Fabulous. I'm faking it till I make it.
Good for you.
I'm a transmission fluid half full kind of guy.
Oh, that's nice.
How's that?
You need that today.
I do need that.
Because you're having some car troubles. Is that okay that I tell people that?
Yeah, of course it is. You know, we live our lives. We live our lives for the betterment and enjoyment of this city.
The Jake and Spike Show.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
On KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Your life and your loved ones' lives depends on what you've done to prepare. Disasters, shortages, supply chain failures, they're not ifs, they're wins. Don't be left without life-saving medication. The Jace case is a prescribed set of emergency antibiotics, life-saving medications you have on hand before you need them, offering peace of mind, no panicking, fast, affordable, and could save your life. Go to JASE.com. Use code RADIO for a discount, because once the shelves are empty, it's already too late.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where Groundworks comes in. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Someone says they're from Medicare? Hang up. Medicare never cold calls. Offered free medical equipment or services? Toss it. It's likely a scam. Got your Medicare statement? Read it. Spot something strange? Report it. You can fight it. The Washington State Office of the Insurance Commissioner Fraud Prevention Service is free, unbiased, and here for you. Search Washington Medicare Fraud or call 800-562-6900. That's 800-562-6900.
If you want that summer body you've always dreamed of, then this message is for you, ladies, and you men too. Get rid of extra stubborn fat and address areas of loose skin around the waistline, chin, and under the upper arms with ProSculpt, the new one-day instant permanent fat removal and skin tightening treatment. Maybe you've tried the lasers, fat freezing methods, even those new pills, but without the desired results. ProSculpt is different. It's minimally invasive, performed while fully awake, gentle, yet powerful. Designed to target the waistline, chin, neck, arms, and thighs, ProSculpt uses FDA-cleared plasma technology to deliver immediate, permanent fat-reducing and skin-tightening results, all in just one visit. If you want that summer body this summer, then you must act now. Go to ProSculpt.com today to schedule your free consultation. Get $250 off. For instant, permanent fat reduction and skin tightening, visit ProSculpt.com.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
With Clear Choice dental implants, one day can make the difference between hiding your smile and saying cheese. Thanks to our dental implant experts, our one-day teeth transformation culminates in your Clear Choice Day, the day when you start loving your smile again. Visit clearchoice.com or call 888-SMILE-05 to schedule your free consultation today. And let us help Seattle start smiling again.
Majority qualify for same-day dental implants after doctor recommendation. Offices owned by Dr. Alfonso Pinheiro.
Welcome back to the Gee and Ursula Show. Mike Lewis here, filling in for G. Scott. Ursula, of course, is here. Do you think today's young people are all about endless hookups and Tinder flings? Apparently not.
Yeah.
Despite the hype, they're actually having less sex than previous generations. And relationship expert Esther Perel says the so-called hookup culture might be more fantasy than fact. Here's her take on what's really behind America's sexual recession.
1 in 3 men under 30 in the US reported no sex in the past year. That's triple the rate from 2008. Millennials and Gen Zs are having less sex than any generation since records began, despite more access to the dating apps we talked about. In Japan, over 40% of young adults are virgins, and many say that they have no interest in sex.
You arrive at a certain age and now you're looking at this other person with whom you want to have sex, and it's like this unknown continent that you have to conquer. Because in order to have sex with a female partner, if that's the man you're talking about, you need to be able to approach her. And so social atrophy is directly connected to what is often called a sexual recession. But you've never spoken with those people. You have very little female friends who are just friends, who help you understand what happens with your girlfriend. You know, there's an entire social map that has dissipated. So the sex is the last thing on the list of all these disconnects that then, of course, lead you to have this kind of statistic.
Okay, so my immediate reaction was, is this a problem? Is this sexual recession a big issue? Because I see some benefits in all of this, including teenage pregnancy rates in this country and I think worldwide being significantly down. I mean, that would be one thing. Or has the pendulum swung too far?
You know, I don't think necessarily. I mean, they're drinking less, they're having less sex. I don't know that these two things are associated. They are. I mean, it is. I don't necessarily think this is a good thing. I mean, I think that if it is an example of people not actually interacting, like being connecting personally and then physically, I think that it is probably not a good thing socially.
Sure.
But I do think that if people are making more mature decisions about sex, and the lack of sex has a lot to do with declining teen pregnancy, at least in some cases. I mean, the teen pregnancy thing is weird. It depends on the community. It depends on the state, how much the state offers sort of like free and anonymous birth control, things like that. Those have a strong correlation with the level of teen pregnancy, most communities in the United States. However, if they are just not pursuing that, but with no social downside, I suppose it's a good thing. But I don't know that I necessarily believe that there is no social downside to this.
Obviously, later on when you are in a committed relationship, or even if you are an adult and you are responsible and you believe in premarital sex, and I mean, it is a very important part of relationships for sure. So Completely. if people are saying like, I'm just not interested because I'm getting my dopamine hits from my cell phone,
right?
Or I'm getting my dopamine hits from porn, or whatever it is. Yeah, that is a big fat problem.
I think it's a big problem. I mean, I think generally speaking, that is kind of the movement into adult process is learning how to have a variety from understanding your finances to be able to keep a job and understand how to work and to have relationships and to lose relationships. Like all of that stuff is the maturation process. And it feels like if that component is going away, there are probably unintended consequences from this. Maybe there's some good ones, but I bet there's some bad ones as well.
I think this is definitely a bad thing. Mike, to your point, like relationships are practice.
Right.
And if you're not getting into them until, your late 20s or you only have very few, you're going to have much less chance of ending up with the right person. Also, one thing is it creates more social awkwardness and mistrust between genders, right? There's already a very, very sharp political divide between young men and young women in this country. Why could that be? Possibly because young men are simply not talking to young women.
Wait. Can you repeat that? You said there's a political divide between young men and young
absolutely.
women? Oh, my goodness. Okay, and Ian's shaking his head. Okay, so describe that because
by about 30 points, young men tend to vote more Republican than young women do. And I think part of that is because they don't have the onus of bearing children, of course, considering GOP policies. But I think it's also a disconnect between the sexes. If you're not talking to the opposite gender about issues that are important to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't read into this, and I would have to talk to this relationship expert more because I understand sexual recession. Yeah, that sounds all negative. I love that the teenage pregnancy rates are down. Mm-hmm. I also love this idea. I always hated the years when it was a big thing for people to get that extra notch in their belt for how many people they could sleep with, kind of thing. Right. That whole sexual revolution, and everyone was sleeping with everybody, and there was just. I think that went way too far, and now perhaps this is the pendulum swinging way too far, and now we've got young people, hitting adulthood and not having interest in sex. That's worrisome.
And so that's also the component that really wasn't discussed here is are they actually interested, or is this just are they I mean, I would say that my lack of sex as a young person frequently wasn't my decision anyway, and so it took a village.
Yeah, maybe there just wasn't that opportunity.
Precisely. So I'm kind of wondering, really, is there no intent here, or is there just no success here?
Well,
or is this an intentional thing?
I would say that a large swath of young men who are not in relationships is not a good thing traditionally.
No, I completely agree.
On the other hand, there's going to be a huge decline in stolen sweatshirts, and we might have fewer babies, but a lot more cats.
There you go.
Oh, my God. Always looking on the bright side. Okay, coming up in the next hour in What's New at 10, we need to talk about the King County executive race. Well, specifically about one candidate who is putting out all sorts of information, really personal information that I personally think is just going way too far.
It's the TMI candidate.
It is very much so. And we'll talk about that more next on the Gee and Ursula Show with Mike Lewis.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Every summer, we drive to Lake Chelan in our Subaru Outback, and that car has truly been great for our family adventures. We bought it at Carter Subaru. It's actually one of two vehicles that our family has purchased from this family-owned dealership. At Carter Subaru, you will be treated like family. No pushy sales tactics, no gimmicks. We are repeat customers because Carter Subaru is committed to treating their customers with the utmost respect. And that is something that we as a family demand, and they deliver. Right now, Carter Subaru has what you've been searching for with over 300 new vehicles in stock, including the 2025 Forester, now with 3.9% financing for 48 months on approved credit. Or if you want to go electric with the 2025 Solterra EV, 0% APR for 72 months. Shop with the Carter Subaru Advantage and enjoy valet parking at Carter Subaru's Ballard dealership and at-home delivery across all locations.
On approved credit, subject to vehicle insurance and availability. A documentary service fee may be added to the sale price or capitalized cost. See dealer for details. Valid through 6/30/25.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm, I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
Gee and Ursula, weekdays from 9 to noon on KIRO Newsradio.
Got pickleball game? Play with Seattle football legends in the Champions of Change pickleball tournament on June 28th, benefiting high school athletes. Register at championsofchangefoundation.org/pickleball or donate at your local Safeway.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Steve Kathan. Israel's defense minister says Iran's supreme leader should not continue to exist. That threat comes after missiles fired by Iran hit residences in Tel Aviv and a key hospital. Israel targeted more nuclear sites in Iran. CBS's Robert Berger in Jerusalem on how much firepower Tehran might still have.
Estimates that they have around 1,000 still left, maybe 700. If they're firing 30 a day, they can probably go on for 2 or 3 more weeks. So this, I think both sides have enough munitions to continue this fight for at least a couple of weeks.
Israel says it has destroyed more than half of Iran's missile launchers. CBS's Ed O'Keefe is at the White House with more on the possibility of U.S. intervention to hit Iran.
President Trump, at least publicly, says he's not ready to make a call on U.S. involvement.
I have ideas as to what to do, but I haven't made a final. I like to make a final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change.
CBS News has learned the president approved unspecified attack plans as an option, but is holding off in case Iran agrees to abandon its nuclear program.
Well, President Trump has signed an executive order to keep TikTok running in the U.S. for another 90 days to give more time to try to broker a deal to bring the social media platform under American ownership. Strategies to stay cool are being employed with extreme warnings from the Southwest to South Dakota.
I tend to just, limit my exercise outside or maybe go out early in the morning to avoid all the UV.
Above 90-degree heat is expected to roll into the Northeast next week. CBS's Jim Krasula updates us on the Washington State manhunt for a man suspected in a triple murder.
Authorities in Chelan County in eastern Washington state, 150 miles east of Seattle, are tracking down tips from psychics who claim to have information that could lead to the whereabouts of Travis Decker. The 32-year-old Army veteran is wanted in connection with the deaths of his 3 daughters more than 2 weeks ago.
A children's cough syrup is being recalled, as we hear from CBS's Michael Wallace.
MedTech Products is voluntarily recalling some bottles of its Little Remedies honey cough syrup because of microbial contamination. The bacteria in question can cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and stomach cramps. So far, no illnesses have been reported.
Well, today is Juneteenth, the federal holiday marking the end of slavery. CBS's Allison Keyes.
When General Gordon Granger went to Galveston, Texas, and read a proclamation letting enslaved people there know they were free, historian Frank Smith says 4 black regiments went with him. And at the African American Civil War Memorial,
we're going to read all 6,000 of these names out loud. First time it's ever been done.
This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive. Protect your auto, home, and business with Progressive and get 24/7 coverage. See if you can save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
It is going to be a tough weekend to get around in our region. We're going to have those traffic updates in just a moment. But first, your commute from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk. And we are officially more green than anything else on our map. We are hitting a little bit of snag coming in and out of downtown Seattle on I-5 north and south. That is to be expected. That is pretty concentrated at all times, but the backup is also causing some slowing on the the eastbound West Seattle Bridge, and I'm also seeing some slow traffic going through the 99 tunnel. So just add a couple of extra minutes to your commute there. We do have a collision on northbound I-5 at 5:20. That'll also add a few minutes to your travel times. Federal Way to Seattle, 35 minutes on I-5 northbound. Linwood to Seattle, 26 minutes in the southern direction. Renton to Bellevue on 405, still running a couple minutes behind at 25 minutes. Issaquah to Seattle on I-90 is 23 minutes and just about the same on 520. This report brought to you by Seattle Sports. Download the Seattle Sports app to stay in the know with the latest news, scores, and opinions about your favorite teams.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Jillian Raftery. In the hunt for fugitive father Travis Decker, Chelan County deputies continue chasing every possible lead, and Sheriff Mike Morrison now says he is convinced Decker is still alive.
I do believe he's still alive, and until I find something that would prove otherwise, we're going to consider that he is alive.
What makes you think that he is still alive?
Have not found a body.
Sheriff Mike Morrison says not one hiker has reported even a possible sighting of Decker's body. The former soldier may be surviving on food pre-stashed in the wilderness, which Morrison says will eventually run out. Meanwhile, a new helicopter search scanned areas in the mountains just a mile away from the town of Kashmir. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
We will be following the latest on this search, and we'll have the latest on mynorthwest.com. The National Transportation Safety Board issues an urgent safety warning relating to the Boeing 737 MAX. KIRO 7 TV's Jason Sloss explains.
The NTSB found issues with the engines that, when damaged, can cause smoke to enter the cabin and cockpit. The agency is asking the FAA to let flight crews know about the problem and modify engine software to fix it.
Boeing says it's working on a fix. On the flip side, though, at the Paris Air Show, Boeing promised to unveil new planes soon, and the company says previously delayed 777-9s will enter into service next year. They're described as a larger and more fuel-efficient model than the other 777 aircraft. Boeing is one of Washington's largest private employers. It's not going to be easy to get through Seattle on I-5 this weekend. Only 2 lanes of northbound I-5 will be open across the Ship Canal Bridge. Those closures start Friday night and last through early Monday morning. You can check all of that on mynorthwest.com. Weather brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. High of 71 today, partly cloudy, 50s overnight, drizzle and low 60s on Friday. It is 60 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Welcome to the Gee and Ursula Show. Gee is out today. Mike Lewis is in. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Juneteenth, Mike.
Always happy to be here.
So much fun. As always, we invite you to text us. You are such an important part of our show. Our text line is 888-973-5476, 888-973-KIRO. Also, hello to all of you watching us on YouTube. And coming up at 10:30. Okay, by the way, just a reminder, more eyes are on us now, Mike.
No, I know.
So it's
I got the warning. Even during commercials.
Yes, exactly. So we got to really watch our P's and Q's. Hey, coming up at 10:30, question for you. Are you watching closely what is happening between Israel and Iran? And do you think that the U.S. should get involved? We also have to share this really testy exchange between the Secretary of Defense and a member of Congress. And I think it is important for every single person to listen to that exchange.
100%.
But right now, let's get to
What's New at 10.
And this is, I'm going to just be honest, Mike, this is kind of an uncomfortable story to talk about for a number of reasons. One, this involves King County Assessor John Wilson, who I used to work with on election nights here at KIRO. He was one of our political commentators.
Mm-hmm.
He has also been on the show as the King County Assessor. And then the other person is his former fiance, who I also know on a professional level. So King County Assessor John Wilson right now is using Facebook posts to defend himself against stalking and harassment allegations by his former fiance, Lee Keller. He is claiming that he is a victim of political backstabbers as he runs for King County Executive this fall. And he insists that he never posed a threat to his former fiancée. And earlier this month, the King County Council unanimously passed a vote of no confidence in him. Two of the council members who are running against Wilson in the county executive race were part of that vote, which he uses as evidence that all of this is just politically motivated.
Bad visuals on their part.
Yeah, for
they
sure.
shouldn't have voted on that.
Yeah, they shouldn't have. They should have recused themselves.
Absolutely.
And we're running. So because it was still a unanimous vote, and quite frankly, I just found out this morning that Reagan Dunn, who was the missing vote because it was an 8-0 vote, he has now joined in the calls to have John Wilson actually resign as King County Assessor.
And these are for a couple of reasons. One, if you're running against him, you shouldn't be on this vote. But two, these are non-binding anyway. Like these are they cannot vote someone out.
Yes.
They're making a resolution. Fair enough. If you are running against this person, you're conflicted out. Stay out of the vote.
Yes.
Which doesn't actually change what the story is right now.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what I want to point out. And one of the reasons that Reagan Dunn said that he is joining in this chorus, not only are these allegations really serious, but he's also saying that that the allegations are that John Wilson used county resources and his job as assessor to find out information about his former fiance. So, I mean, there's so many details on this, but in the restraining order that she filed last month, he says it is baseless. He tries to back that up with claims that he recently met with her, and all of this is just playing out on Facebook, and he's trying to spin it basically or defend himself. I mean, you could look at it either way. And he says that she asked him for nearly $6,000 for rent the next day. They met up for lunch, and he completed the post with a smiling selfie with her and said, "See, it doesn't look like she's being harmed. It doesn't look like there's
right."
But the court filings and the restraining orders that were detailed by the Seattle Times, and I want to point out that it was not Lee Keller who put it out there. It was the Seattle Times that reported on it.
That's entirely true.
And so, but she is telling a very different story in the court documents, and through her attorney, she says she is fearful of him. She says the restraining order is still active and that she has no plans to drop it. She also accuses him of repeatedly trying to pressure her into backing down, and this is all going to be determined by a judge later this month on June 30th. But I wanted to bring this up because these are repeated posts now, and then now these votes and this pressure, and it has just gotten so ugly.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously trying to save his. I mean, I don't know how likely he was. Let's say none of this became public. I don't know how likely he was to win the race for a county executive. Nonetheless, this is someone who is trying to maintain a political future by pushing back in a manner that seems pretty disingenuous. I mean, at the least, and saying things that are provably not true, such as we agreed that she was going to drop it. You know, she's in when she has said,
no,
I made no such agreement.
No.
I mean, that's and my attorney says I've made no such, like, literally all of the stuff, all of the narrative he is trying to propagate doesn't appear to be true.
Well, and I want to, because he is getting a lot of his story out there, and she is choosing not to litigate it in public and letting all of it happen in the courts. And he's putting out on Facebook, I still love her. If you love her, don't be dragging this through and putting all of this. Let it happen in the courts.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, but some of the allegations that are in the court documents say that after they broke up in April, she says that he called and texted her repeatedly, even after she blocked his number and social media. He allegedly reached out through his county-issued phone, contacting her sister and her child, messaging her through Dropbox, ignoring her clear requests to leave her alone. In one document that included screenshots, he said never when she texted him to stop contacting her. And then one incident included him falsely claiming sexual assault to one of her friend's employers in a jealous attempt to get him fired. I mean, these are all very disturbing and very classic when you come to what the experts on domestic violence will tell you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm just going to look
it's kind
here.
of the playbook, you know?
It is. And here's the thing. And again, we don't know what is going on, but he is choosing to put it and make it very public.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at what the Mayo Clinic and the National Domestic Violence Hotline say about this, signs of an abusive relationship, and I want to share this because maybe you or someone you love is in one of these. But these are some of the signs. Repeated unwanted contact, such as showing up uninvited, calling, texting, emailing, or messaging on social media after being told to stop. Monitoring or controlling behaviors, tracking where your partner goes. I'm going to share that John Arthur Wilson, when Gee was at an event and Gee had seen Lee Keller, John Arthur Wilson contacted him and said, I saw you talking to my ex-fiance. I mean, that, right. I'm sorry, is very bizarre and troubling to me.
Yeah.
And threats or intimidation, making threats to harm the partner, isolation tactics, pressuring the partner to cut off friends or family. One of the things that Wilson has said is that she has filed, trying to basically portray her as this crazy woman. She's filed 7 different times. I mean, Chef, correct me if I'm wrong, but was one of the claims that she has made temporary restraining orders or filed them like 7 different times and then removed them?
Yeah, I believe in his social media post, he was like, she's done this 7 times. She's changed her mind 7 times.
Yes.
Something to that effect.
Okay. And then what has the Mayo Clinic said about exactly that? How long does it take?
Let's see. The National Domestic Violence Hotline and various research studies say that a survivor typically makes about 7 attempts to leave an abusive relationship before they're able to leave for good. And there's a lot of factors for that, but it's like with addiction, right? It's hard to get out.
So again, I would never choose to even discuss this, but it's being trotted out,
right,
and put on social media. And I guess I know that John Arthur Wilson has listened to this show before. He's been on our show before, and I would just suggest calming down on all of those posts that he's putting on. It does not help. I'm not going to weigh in. Gee and I discussed whether, do you think he should resign? I mean, he's getting a lot of pressure to resign. He's refusing to resign.
Right.
I think that he deserves his day in court. And
100%.
I'm not going to say that I think he should resign.
Right.
But I think that all of this needs to not be made so public already, any more than it already is.
Yeah. I mean, clearly he has pushed past the point, that this is the strategy, depending on who you are in the crisis management strategy for something like this, typically is some pushback. But you have to decide when you are playing defense and then when you choose to turn that defense into offense. So it's not just, I didn't do this and look what they did. So you could stop it. I didn't do this. You can say, this is not what she is representing. I'm not talking about the veracity of any of this. I'm just saying, like, from a tactic standpoint, that's one thing. But when you decide to go across that line and actually then make the other one, they're crazy when they talk like this. That sort of talk is really when it starts to get dangerous. And let's just set aside whether this stuff is true. I don't know. Some of it seems pretty plausible, but let's just set it aside. The idea when you start calling somebody else crazy for making these allegations when they've literally filed court documents, I'm not sure you're doing yourself any good at all. You're actually undermining, as you are undermining your own credibility through the whole process, which is exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. So I thought it was important because, what I also find unfair is that she, other than what she's put in court documents, is not talking.
She recognizes and she's listening. One, she's actually listening to her attorney, clearly, right? And then two, she understands there's no good reason to get out there and get in front of it, like on Facebook and other platforms. Like, she is not doing that, which I think adds to her credibility.
Right.
Doesn't take away from it.
Okay, let's talk about another person in politics. This happens to be Seattle City Council member Rob Saka, who is cranking up the drama over a simple traffic safety divider, calling people who want to keep it there anti-immigrant, radical, defund the police carpetbaggers, and he is claiming, these are quotes, Mike, so claiming that the divider itself is triggering and traumatizing for immigrants. So, what is the deal with this traffic safety divider? Why is it getting his ire? Why is he so upset about it?
Where did he take his kids to school? He's tired of not being able to make a U-turn.
Okay,
that's essentially it. So everyone who actually wants to remove this barrier, if I understand it correctly.
Yes. It's just a typical divider.
Yeah. I went off once I think I was on a different radio show and went off on this dust up has been going on for a while now. I think Rob Saka is, I'm looking for the right word, but I'm just going to go with this word, an idiot.
Oh, no. Gee and Ursula Show, we don't generally do name calling, but
he's an idiot.
Okay.
He's an idiot. Like, this whole claim, what he is doing here is harmful to people who have legitimate claims.
Thank you. That's
harmful.
The issue.
This is pure idiot. And let me just make sure that anyone who didn't hear, idiot is what I'm saying. Like, this is as dumb as it gets. And he is actually harming people who are making legitimate claims in this regard.
Yes.
Over a traffic barrier that annoys him.
Okay, so he did this 21-word emoji-loaded email blast, and he doubled down on this fight. And this is coming from Publicola, by the way. So this apparently
Erica Barnett did a terrific job on this story.
So this concrete center line is known as Kirby, and it's supposed to be stopping dangerous left turns on Del Ridge Way Southwest, which is obviously a very busy
I've
street,
ridden my
right?
bicycle on the street many times.
So he is saying, though, that blocking left turns into his kids' preschool parking lot unfairly punishes immigrant families and empowers radical anti-car ideologues from outside West Seattle. Seriously, Rob? Seriously? And so, okay, and then it's even more disturbing.
So I do have a word to say about all this.
Idiot. Yes. Council member Saka has pushed for and apparently has gotten about $2 million in the city budget specifically to remove the safety divider on Del Ridge Way Southwest. Now, I find that idiocy. $2 million to remind a safety divider?
He is not content to just go small I, idiot. He wants to go capital I, idiot, on this one.
Wait, this is not true, Chef. That was his top budget priority for this year?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, it was.
This is what I'm telling you. I've read about this. I know this story fairly well. There is nothing that is excusable in this sort of silly, petty behavior. And it's not just that, it also undermines legitimate claims that people have when people actually do structure things socially in cities, that you could actually make an argument, from redlining and whatnot, that there is a certain level of historical racist approach to things. This left turn barrier is not any of that.
Outrageous.
It's an annoyance to him personally, and he's decided to drape it in higher purpose. Again, I just have to come back to it. One word.
Yes.
He's behaving like an idiot.
It is damaging. Opponents, including safety advocates and the city's own transportation department, say that the divider is no different than hundreds of others around the city, and they're designed to prevent collisions. It is not. What was
if you want to make a
quote?
traffic argument about it, fair enough. I think that's totally on the table. If you want to talk to a traffic expert and bring in a traffic expert who says this does nothing to improve safety and it does like tie up traffic, whatever you want to say. Bicycle radicals or whatever it is.
Well, he's an anti-immigrant radical, defund the police carpetbaggers. He's just dragging out all of them.
Like his he thinks somehow that his like word salad cannon is going to have something to do with anything. Like, I've said it enough.
Yes. Okay, just real quick. We just have one more minute. Points Guy just released latest ranking of the best airlines based on reliability, enjoyable passenger experience, cost and reach, and loyalty programs. Delta comes in number 1, United moving up to 2nd, Southwest, Alaska, and Hawaiian Airlines round out the top 5. My question to you is, do you have a favorite airline and why?
So a favorite, I think the better question, not meaning to change your question, is
go ahead.
Domestic versus international.
Domestic, of course, yeah.
Well, no, it's because there are some international ones. That are
no, they're out of this league.
People who have not flown like on even an average international airline will be shocked at the experience as compared to domestic. It is so different.
Yes, it is. You're true.
I mean, if you fly on, and I've flown on.
Okay, let's say domestic.
Domestic. Delta's great. I mean, it's not historically. I've actually really the airline that I liked that was absorbed by Alaska. I liked Virgin America. I actually found like their flights were inexpensive. I qualified at sort of a higher when I was flying a lot when I was working for America Online. When I was working for AOL, I was flying a lot to San Francisco for meetings. I acquired like elite status quickly. I got up a lot of it. They were generous with the upgrades. They were kind of like they had this weird purple lighting. It always felt like you walked into like a 70s discotheque.
Yes.
You know, like
it felt different.
It was different,
Yes.
and it was kind of fun, and I liked it. So that would be mine.
Yeah.
But I like Alaska a lot. I think Alaska's great.
I'm always loyal to Alaska.
I fly it probably more than anything else.
Okay, text us if you got a favorite and tell us why to 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. And yeah, definitely keep it domestic because international is a whole nother league. Okay, still ahead, we're talking about the growing escalation between Israel and Iran. Do you think the U.S. should get involved? Text us or email us, and we'll have that conversation coming up next.
You listen to Seattle's morning news every morning. What do Charlie and Manda listen to every afternoon?
I absolutely love listening to John Curley because he makes you think, which I love.
John has a real special talent in being able to talk about the topics we care about, but he's always trying to make it fun. You're going, oh, this guy actually gets it.
The John Curley Show, weekdays 3 to 7. Watch The John Curley Show live on YouTube or the KIRO Newsradio App.
This hour is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Annie's first oil change wasn't as hard as she thought because she went to AutoZone, where a friendly AutoZoner helped her find the right oil and save on an oil filter. He explained the job and showed her free how-tos on AutoZone.com. When she was done, AutoZone recycled her old oil for free. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Have you heard the saying, chucking a truck? The guy running a roofing company out of his messy pickup? Well, here's the scary part. Washington doesn't require a test or experience to be a licensed roofer, and they definitely don't require a brick and mortar location. Chuck could be working out of his apartment with 0 employees, hiring random guys off the street. Yikes. And the SBA says 90% of roofers are out of business within 5 years. Jim here, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart, where we do things right. We have a real location on Central Avenue in Kent and a team of 50 full-time roofing pros who actually know what they're doing. We're not some fly-by-night outfit. We've put down roots, or in our case, a cement foundation, so you'll always know where to find us. No disappearing acts, no cut corners, just top-quality work from people you can trust. That's RoofSmart. Come see for yourself, or call us at 206-487-4877, or visit us online at getroofsmart.com. That's 206-487-4877, or getroofsmart.com.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Guys, want long-term health you can count on? It starts with knowing your numbers. This June, for Men's Health Month, Revive Seattle is offering a free comprehensive wellness panel, a $400 value, including testosterone, blood sugar, heart health, and more. Take control of your health today and stay strong for the long haul. Offer ends June 30th. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com today.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Experience the thrill of seeing orcas and humpback whales with Puget Sound Express. Join their family-run tours for guaranteed whale sightings, departing daily from Edmonds. These are Seattle's most popular and well-reviewed whale tours. Book now at PugetSoundExpress.com.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and MyNorthwest.com.
A missile attack on an Israeli hospital overnight. Good morning. I'm Jillian Raftery. Now President Donald Trump is back in the Situation Room. Here's White House correspondent Natalie Brand with CBS News.
CBS News has learned President Trump approved attack plans on Iran, but has not made a final decision, according to a senior intelligence source and defense official.
President Trump will do what's best for America. I trust his judgment. He's a tremendous friend, a tremendous world leader, a tremendous friend of Israel and the Jewish people. And we will do what we have to do, and we are doing it.
Sources say the president has held off in case Iran agrees to give up its nuclear program.
Protesters in Seattle have called for peace and for the U.S. to stay out of the conflict.
From Gaza to Iran, we oppose the aggressive war. We oppose genocide, and we oppose Israeli aggression against our nation.
That sound from KIRO 7 TV. In Portland, at least 2 people were arrested after surrounding a Department of Homeland Security building. They blocked traffic in and out, lit off fireworks, and fought with law enforcement that tried to clear the area. A fugitive who escaped custody at SeaTac Airport as he was about to be extradited to Kentucky in May is back in custody. KIRO 7 TV's Jason Sloss reports U.S. Marshals found Cedric Stevenson yesterday.
He didn't make it far. He was picked up in Seattle. Stevenson was originally wanted on assault, gun, and drug charges. The woman was also arrested and charged for helping Stevenson escape.
For the 5th year, Americans are celebrating Juneteenth as a federal holiday. Here's Karita Brown with Emory University.
News traveled slow throughout the Confederacy about freedom. And that's why it took so long. And this message, this news that came to Galveston, Texas, culminated the last standing community, Black community, to learn about their freedom.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, let's take a look at your holiday drive. We're starting to get a little bit more of a backup on 405 northbound. I'm not seeing any collisions there yet, but that drive right now, Renton to Bellevue, is about 26 minutes. And Linwood to Seattle is also running a little bit behind on I-5, 28 minutes to make that southbound drive. In and out of downtown has always been a little bit of a tough issue this time of day. 36 minutes Federal Way to Seattle. This traffic report brought to you by Harnish Auto Family. Over 40 years, the Harnish Auto Family has built a stellar reputation on trust, respect, and great deals. Find your next car at harnishautofamily.com. Harnish Auto Family. People matter. Weather brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Warming up to about 70 degrees today. Going to have rain tomorrow and again on Saturday with highs in the low 60s. It is 59 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery with KIRO Newsradio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Gee and Ursula Show. And you just heard in Jillian's newscast, tensions ramping up between Israel and Iran. And there are people all around the world and here in the Seattle area who are voicing outrage and calling for peace in the Middle East. So last night, that call was echoed through Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood, where demonstrators gathered to protest missile strikes that have claimed hundreds of lives.
The people who have stood up to oppression and crimes of Islamic Republic for years have lost their most beautiful children in streets, massacres, executions, and detention centers, and have endured poverty, corruption, and organized discrimination, are now feeling the marks of a foreign enemy's boots on their throat.
KIRO 7 TV reports that many at that rally condemned the violence outright. Others were arguing that Israel's actions are justified in targeting Iran's government and not its people. President Trump has said that he may or may not want to get the U.S. directly involved, but I know that we're kidding ourselves to think that the U.S. isn't already involved, at least in its support, of course, of Israel.
You cannot de-link the United States and Israel in policy in the Middle East, 100%. Like, if Israel is doing something, it's with our knowledge and almost exclusively with our acquiescence. Even if it's something we publicly criticize, we knew, and we said, okay, because $3 billion a year.
Well, yeah, that and a number of other things, positioning, et cetera, et cetera. And right now I was looking at, okay, what are some of the things that are already happening, even though maybe those of you are not following it so closely. What is the U.S. already doing? There are reports that the U.S. military has directly helped Israel in intercepting Iranian missiles and drones, has provided Israel with advanced air defense systems, and also repositioning our own aircraft carriers. The USS Nimitz is moving toward the Middle East. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, as you watch this, I know that Gee is just terrified about the possibilities of this escalating and the U.S. getting even more involved than we are right now.
So the interesting thing here, honestly, one of the interesting things, it's not being as well reported, although The Economist did a pretty interesting take on it. It's the general silence in the Arab world about this conflict. Like, usually when Israel is getting aggressive and doing either saber rattling or outright attacks, there's no shortage of pushback from Emirates, from Saudi Arabia, from Jordan, from Syria, like a variety of places. And if you've noticed, it's been conspicuously silent. I mean, one, we have, generally Russia is a strong agitator in this environment. And Russia has its own issues to deal with. But secondarily, Iran has been a destabilizing force in that area for a long time. And it's not like there's a lot of love shared among Arab countries for Iran. So weirdly enough, like the United States, my guess is that the president is more yapping than intent, because his own party is extremely divided on this. I mean, like there's been a schism, a giant one now in the whole MAGA world regarding Trump's original promises, which were that it's America first, we are not interventionist, like that sort of thing. And now suddenly he's, as he does a lot, reversed course and decided we are potentially interventionist on this particular area. And he's left some of his strongest supporters pretty hot about this, including the Tucker Carlsons of this world, the Marjorie Taylor Greens of this world.
We shared Tucker Carlson's interview with
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely, he is not, and apparently, according to the president, he called to apologize about the words, but he called to make up, but he didn't really apologize. He called to let him know, hey, maybe I used terms that were too harsh. However, it doesn't change what his opinion is. And a lot of the MAGA world, the opinion is, hey, the original promise was we're not going to do these interventionist things anymore. We're going to worry about our own country. And here you are doing it.
Well, the thing that terrifies me the most is the idea that if we were to get into something as serious, and it would be extremely serious if we're talking about direct military action by the U.S. in Iran, is the idea that Secretary of Defense Peter Hegseth would be overseeing this.
Well, so
I have zero confidence in that man.
Well, but the nice thing is, neither does the Trump administration. I mean, my understanding and literally what's being reported in the Washington Post, among other, is that they have completely sidelined the guy, that the president is going directly to the generals and the military leaders and avoiding Pete. Like, no one is actually looping him in because they feel like he is so underprepared and so underqualified to actually handle anything other than, the most basic of television interviews, that they are actually not using him as a decision maker or as an advisor on this particular issue.
Well,
I hope that that's true.
I hope that's true, too. Senator Tammy Duckworth, who is a military veteran, actually took Hegseth to task over his many failures to date as Secretary of Defense, and starting with the failure to secure shipping lanes that regularly come under Houthi fire. And apparently 2 jets and 7 Predator drones were lost in that mission. Listen to this.
You are blowing through money like my fellow cadets and I did in our first Liberty after basic camp. Luckily, I didn't end up with a questionable tattoo. Your failures, Mr. Secretary, since you've taken office has been staggering. You sent classified operational information over Signal to chest thump in front of your wife, who, by the way, has no security clearance, risking service member lives in the process. You blew the $1 billion fight against the Houthis, whom, again, as my colleague says, has no Navy, and yet you lost all of those aircraft. You've created such a hostile command environment that no one wants to serve as your chief of staff or work with you in other senior DoD leadership roles. But what we should all be talking about more than all of this is that you have an unjustified, un-American misuse of the military in American cities, pulling resources and attention away from core missions to the detriment of the country, the war fighters, and yes, the war fighting that you claim to love. I don't know if this is because you are too inexperienced and incompetent to understand the real threats facing our country, or if it's because you are just an unqualified yes man who can't tell the president how to keep Americans safe. You are encouraging the DoD workforce to go work for DHS in increasing numbers. You're pulling the military away from facing foreign enemies who literally say things like death to America. And you're putting troops with weapons aimed at Americans. Mr. Secretary, let the military get back to its real job. Stop forcing them to do DHSs. And if you want to be DHS Secretary, maybe you can apply for that job when you're fired from this one due to your incompetence.
Why hasn't he been fired yet?
It would be an admission that he was a mistake. And Donald Trump doesn't want to admit he made a mistake. It would be embarrassing to him.
I mean,
everyone makes mistakes.
But again, None of this is terribly surprising about the guy. What bothers me more are the senators, some in particular, who voted to let this one through. You know, if you want to start like putting some blame out there, you know,
agree on that too.
You know, the senator who was Duckworth, who was criticizing justifiably 100% true what she was saying. But let's look at your fellow senators and look at a couple of them who literally knew better and pushed this guy through. And this is what we're like. This is on you folks too. Yeah. Sorry. You know, this guy is so underwhelming. He was underwhelming in his job at Fox, much less.
He was a weekend dude.
Yeah, he was exactly like this is a guy who is a nice-looking, underqualified guy his entire career, and yet he gets this gig. I don't know. I mean, but that started with the U.S. Senate and the approval process, honestly, and we're getting exactly what we paid for.
Okay, still ahead, we do scenarios. We will help solve other people's problems. Stay with us on the Gee and Ursula Show.
You listen to the John Curley Show every afternoon. What does John listen to every morning?
I listen to Charlie and Manda, get my pot of coffee going, then turn on Seattle's Morning News. And I begin to build my show that way. And you want straight news without opinion, just giving it to you with the facts. There's only one place to go, Seattle's Morning News.
The perfect bookends to your daily commute. Seattle's Morning News and the John Curley Show on KIRO Newsradio. Download the KIRO Newsradio app to listen anytime.
G. Scott here with former Seahawks Cliff Averill and Doug Baldwin. I heard you guys are having a celebrity pickleball tournament to raise money for Nourishing Champions. Why pickleball?
Pickleball is, obviously it's a growing sport, but also just the community in Seattle, they've already welcomed it. The beautiful thing about this model is that we will actually be playing with community.
You know, we're excited about this pickleball tournament. It's all about bringing families together, but also, you know, you get to come out there and compete against myself, Doug, Michael Bennett, and we are the most competitive people. So regardless of how sorry Doug might be, he will be out there competing like it's a Super Bowl. And again, it's just all about bringing community together and having a great time, but all for a great cause and raising money for these grassroots organizations.
Come out and help me beat Cliff. Help me beat Cliff.
All right, this is going to be fun. Sign up for the Celebrity Pickleball Tournament, open to all skill levels. For details, go to championsofchangefoundation.org/pickleball.
Smoked paprika in your go-to goulash? Let's go goulash. Sometimes a different way is the better way. Like the SR 509 Expressway, an alternate route that'll help manage congestion and provide better access to SeaTac. Open soon, free through summer.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
We all know a cancer diagnosis is physically and emotionally draining, but it can also be a financial hardship. That's why Northwest Hope and Healing is here to help. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda, a plastic surgeon who is proud to be part of Northwest Hope and Healing's mission. We provide a lifeline for breast and gynecologic cancer patients. We cover essentials like food, utilities, and childcare, so patients can focus on healing. This year, we are proud to celebrate 25 years of Northwest Hope and Healing. Since the year 2000, we have distributed over $2.8 million in direct financial assistance to thousands of local cancer patients. And you can help us make a difference. Mark your calendar for Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 17th at the Columbia Collective in Woodinville. It's an unforgettable afternoon of unwavering hope and inspiration. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 17th. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Stop Medicare fraud. Report anything suspicious to the Washington State Health Insurance Benefits Advisors, known as SHIVA. If you suspect Medicare fraud, learn more by searching for Washington Medicare fraud. Again, search Washington Medicare fraud.
Well, I'm here with my good buddy, Dr. Dan Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. And you've heard from Dr. Dan's patients over the years how a simple stem cell procedure has successfully conquered their pain. Well, folks, now it's my turn. After years of dealing with knee pain from all the football abuse, I can say my knee pain now is almost 100% gone. How'd you do it, Dr. Dan?
Well, Brock, personally, I'm very happy that you did so well. And your story is like so many of our other patients who come in, former athletes and non-athletes as well, who have come in with chronic knee pain, and they are looking for alternatives besides knee replacement surgery. And we're happy to provide this service. It's been truly a game changer for so many folks. It's just been a pleasure to be part of this.
Consider Dr. Nelson, the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. I was in and out with a couple of follow-ups. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit danielnelsonmd.com. That's danielnelsonmd.com.
Safety comes first. That means no credit financing at Bucky's Complete Auto for oil changes, brakes, tune-ups, wiper blades, and factory maintenance. Check the Bucky's near you at buckys.com.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on mynorthwest.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
It is 10:48, and it is time to do scenarios.
All right. So when my uncle died last year, this is from Slate Magazine. My uncle died last year. My wife and I bought his crumbling old rental property from my cousin, who inherited it but wanted nothing to do with the mess. We're no strangers to fixer-uppers. We own a handful of rentals and tackle most of the repairs ourselves. Well, just a few weeks ago, while prepping for renovations, we struck pay dirt. I was swinging a sledgehammer through a bedroom wall when clunk, and behind the plaster was a hidden safe.
Oh.
After a lot of effort, we were able to finally crack it open and found $150,000 in crisp hundreds. The cash dates from the mid-'80s to '90s. My uncle only bought the place in 2000, so this treasure predates him by at least a decade. There were no receipts, no scribbled notes, just cash. It's clear someone installed the safe and sealed it up with the intention of no one finding it anytime soon. So we have a couple questions on our hands. First, since we bought the house outright from my cousin, do we owe him any share of the windfall? And two, after so many decades, do we have any legal or ethical obligation to try and find out who put it there in the first place? What do you think, Mike?
Oh, man.
Yeah, one, I think you absolutely owe your, this is found money. You owe your cousin a take. I don't think there's any question on that. I mean, it'd be like somebody selling you a car and not realizing that it had some sort of weird collector's value, but you found out about it, and then you just quietly move it on for a lot more money than they realized. I mean, this person sold something undervalued, right? And they didn't know it was undervalued. I think cutting them in is totally fine. The need to go back and do research, because you don't know, I would see how many times this house changed. If you could make a plausible case for somebody, but my guess is that I would have a hard time forgetting a safe of $150,000. The person's probably deceased, who had that safe in the wall, I'm guessing. So,
or was a serial bank robber.
Whatever. Could be, but a serial bank robber, again, would have taken the cash with them, wouldn't they? Like a serial bank robber would be jail. Well, that's my point, is that the person's probably deceased who had $150,000 in a hidden wall safe. I don't know. I'd go back. At the very least, I don't know about the long-term thing, but with the person who just sold me the property, I'd cut the money with them.
Okay.
100%.
So you would do that because you were a moral and decent person.
I wouldn't say that, but yes, I would do the other thing.
Is there a legal obligation?
No,
legal
we're not talking about legal obligation.
Well,
we're talking sort of about.
So we're talking about ethically.
It's finders keepers from a legal standpoint.
It's fine that you do it. would it be fine if you decide not to do it too? It's just basically, hey, I bought this house.
My own ethical standards would be if I bought something from somebody, a friend, and it turned out that thing was an album, let's say an old vinyl. It turns out that this is a collector, somehow I would go back to them and say, hey, you know that this thing you sold me for $20 is worth $2,000. You want to split? Now, they didn't know this. I'd say, let's split it. I don't know why. It's found money. Like, you're not losing money by finding, let's just say, would you snivel if you found $75,000 as opposed to $150,000? Of course not.
No,
you found $75,000 and now somebody else did too.
It is found money. Okay, I'm going to attack your premise here. I agree with you, first of all. I would do the same thing. So not only are we the same in age, but I guess moral compass, I would say I would do the same thing.
Okay.
However, I think an argument could be made. It wasn't your cousin's original money.
But it was your cousin's property.
It was your cousin's property.
Yeah.
I mean, should you be obligated actually to report it and say, hey, we found $150,000. This could have been stolen from a bank. This could have been stolen from...
There's a second layer to this, right? Yes. Are you going to report on your taxes? Technically,
no.
you're supposed to, though.
Yeah. How about no?
A windfall, no.
Mm-hmm. Well, you better deposit at $9,999 at a time, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, Mike, how about this though? If you buy a painting at a garage sale, this happens. Like, we see these happen. You buy a painting at a garage sale, and it turns out it's just crappy painting, but on the back is a hidden Van Gogh or something, right? Those people generally don't split whatever proceeds with the garage sale owner. And I don't think you really have an obligation to the cousin. The only reason that you found the money is because you were putting in the work to fix up the place, right? And also, I think you run the risk of the cousin saying, hey, whatever you're giving me, that's not enough. I think the money could create more problems in your relationship with your cousin than it could solve.
So
that's a good point, too.
I'm not buying
You're tenuous on that?
I'm not just tenuous. I think I'm walking straight away from that. One, I'm not saying you're under any obligation. You're asking what my standard would be. My standard is that I would share the money. I mean, it's found.
So you would share it in half. You would say,
I'd cut it in half. Like you sold me this piece of property. Thank you. I'm doing the work on it. Hey, look what I found. You weren't aware that this was actually worth something. It is worth something. Here's your take. I would, one, because at some point if they find out, you're going to ruin a relationship. Two, you found the money. Like, you found the money. You've already got the house.
Would you go
fixing up the house, and you probably if you got a good deal on the house, your cousin's going to be happy for the rest of their existence on this thing.
Yeah. Would you go a step further, though? Well, I'm actually with Chef on this in that you maybe underestimate what people can do when all of a sudden there's a lot of money and who they think is the righteous owner of this money, this windfall. I mean, it happens all the time when it comes to. And I also believe that you would be someone who would do it fairly and you wouldn't make a stink out of it.
I wouldn't think twice about it.
Okay, but Mark D. in Lake Stevens asked this, and it's a good one. If you discovered asbestos or other costly hazards, would your cousin help you cover those unforeseen costs? And if you believe the answer is yes, then yeah, share the money.
Well, but if you're buying something, then it's up to you to do that due diligence. And conceivably, if you're selling, I have purchased, anyone who bought a house or owns a property that was built during a certain period,
if you're
you've got
selling
asbestos
it, then you should do due diligence as well.
Yes, exactly. Due diligence on what's in the walls.
Well, I don't know that I know any single friend, unless they've done a full remodel, has done due diligence on what's in the walls.
Okay. It's like your loss. You sold it.
I'm saying that is a standard other people can have. You asked my standard, that's my standard.
Absolutely, and you're a good human. 888-973-5476, 888-973. KIRO, where do you weigh in on this? We'd love to hear from you. We'll have more of the Gee and Ursula Show coming up next.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Join the free smoothie party at Tropical Smoothie Cafe on Saturday, June 21st for National Smoothie Day. Tropic Rewards members get a free smoothie with bowl or food purchase. Terms and conditions apply.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Oh, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Oh, wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Download the KIRO Newsradio app, where you can watch us live or stream us live anywhere, anytime.
How would this initiative, whatever this initiative is, how would he fund it?
Stay connected everywhere. Download the KIRO Newsradio app.
Now that summer is here, our family's gearing up for some big road trips in our Subaru Outback. We bought our Outback from Carter Subaru, where your drive always begins with savings. And right now, you can get the 2025 Crosstrek with 2.9% APR for 48 months. Shop with the Carter Subaru Advantage and enjoy valet parking at Carter Subaru's Ballard dealership and at-home delivery across all locations.
On approved credit, subject to vehicle insurance and availability. A documentary service fee may be added to the sale price or capitalized cost. See dealer for details. Valid through 6/30/25.
Looking for high-quality assisted living that won't drain your life savings? At Care Partners Living, we offer compassionate care at a price that helps stretch and preserve your estate. No unnecessary luxury, just the support you need with dignity and heart. And if you ever need to convert to Medicaid, you don't have to move. With communities across Washington and Arizona, including new locations in Port Orchard, Sumner, Linwood, and North Creek Bothell, there's a Care Partners community near you. Care Partners Living, compassionate care and peace of mind. Visit carepartnersliving.com.
Breaking news for the people of Boomtown. With Xfinity Mobile, the Wi-Fi is booming, at home and on the go.
And an upgrade storm's on the way.
That's right. And with Xfinity Mobile Premium Unlimited, you can upgrade your phone when you want, up to 2 times a year.
Now, once customers catch wind of the guaranteed new device discount, it'll be the biggest upgrade storm in history.
Wow. Let's hear from our weatherman on the scene.
How's it looking out there, Rick?
Well, Bill, the Wi-Fi is still booming.
Now through September 30th, existing Xfinity Internet customers can get an unlimited line included for a year. Plus, ask how to get a free 5G phone. Learn more at xfinitymobile.com. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Unlimited line offer requires Xfinity 300 megabit internet or above. Taxes, fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Reduced speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds vary.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. As the world waits for President Trump's decision on whether or not to strike Iran, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt moments ago.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says all help is welcome in striking Iran's nuclear sites. He made the comments as he visited a hospital hit by an Iranian missile.
They're targeting civilians because they're a criminal regime. They're the arch terrorists of the world.
They want to have nuclear terrorism, which will put the entire world under nuclear blackmail, and they would use these weapons.
The View from Iran's deputy foreign minister.
They started the war on Iran. They attacked us. Hundreds of Iranian civilians have been up until now killed. They threatened the head of a state. They killed our top commanders, and we were in the middle of a diplomacy.
Americans are waiting for word on whether the U.S. will get involved. This woman in New York.
He's going to go to war. I feel like he's already kind of made up his mind. He's just trying to, placate people, I think, because it's a very unpopular sort of situation that he's getting into.
Millions of Americans are under the threat of severe weather today. Meteorologist Jessica Birch is tracking things.
Areas like Alabama, stretched all the way throughout Tennessee and Kentucky, continue to see some of these stronger storm cells track to the east, bringing in heavy amounts of rain, lots of wind, and that tornado chance really isolated just along the coastline from D.C. up into New York.
Hurricane Eric made landfall in southwestern Mexico today. It was downgraded to a still very dangerous Category 3 just before landfall. As expected, President Trump has given TikTok more time to find a new owner. Linda Kenyon reports.
The president has given the social media platform another 90 days to find an American-based owner. This is the third time Trump has extended the deadline for TikTok to spin off from the Chinese-owned company ByteDance. A previous deal fell apart after China backed out following the president's announcement of massive trade tariffs against China.
Jim Krasula reports on a vigil for a prominent state lawmaker and her husband gunned down at their home.
There were tears as former Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were remembered. Marie Haggerty spoke of Melissa Hortman's legacy.
She stuck up for people's rights. She was a fighter.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz calling Hortman the most consequential speaker in state history.
The markets are closed for the holiday. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A memorial for the 3 Decker girls. We'll give you more information about that in just a moment. But first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, let's go over the commute, which is mostly looking pretty good. I-5 in and out of Seattle, we've got a little bit of a delay there. Federal Way to Seattle is looking at 35 minutes, and Linwood to Seattle, 32 minutes at this point. The 99 southbound on-ramp from South Michigan Street in Seattle, there's a collision blocking the ramp. That explains some of the slowing there, that spillover slowing. 405 northbound has been pretty heavy all morning. It's started to subside. 26 minutes Renton to Bellevue now. The lake bridges are looking clear. So is Tacoma. A little bit of slowing, however, getting onto Highway 18 in Auburn. It just looks like a little bit of extra congestion today. This report brought to you by Subaru of Puyallup. Subaru of Puyallup has you covered with over 300 new Subarus on the lot. Come in now so you can secure today's pricing on tomorrow's car at Subaru of Puyallup, your stress-free dealership.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Jillian Raftery. With the manhunt for Travis Decker heating up in central Washington, Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison is now consulting investigators from some of the nation's most notorious fugitive cases.
One of those high-profile cases is the 21-day search for Jorge Alcantara Gonzalez, the 2020 murder suspect who hid in the woods of Kittitas County, breaking into cabins and stealing food from campsites. Morrison tells me he's also talked with an investigator who worked the massive 5-year manhunt for the 1996 Centennial Olympic Park bomber.
And he told me, he's like, hey, that was a 5-year effort, and it really was. That patrol deputy that saw a subject dumpster diving contacted him, and there was Eric Rudolph, and he was taken into custody.
Meanwhile, a new helicopter search scanned areas in the mountains just a mile from the town of Kashmir. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
A permanent memorial for Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker is being planned. According to KIRO 7 TV, their school, Lincoln Elementary in Wenatchee, is going to build a buddy bench. That's a spot children can go and signal a friend or teacher to sit with them so they don't feel alone. You'll want to avoid northbound I-5 through Seattle this weekend. 2 lanes across the Ship Canal Bridge will be closed from Friday night until early Monday morning. Here's Tom Pierce with the State Transportation Department.
If people do not alter their plans, if they just think they'll drive the same way as they always do, then we're going to see more traffic.
I-5 express lanes will be open in the northbound direction during those closures. Weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. 71 degrees today, partly cloudy, lows in the 50s overnight. Rain tomorrow with a high of 60. Rain again Saturday. Looks like it might be tapering off Sunday into Monday. It is 59 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO Newsradio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Gee and Ursula Show. This is the third hour of our show today, our Thursday morning edition. And it took me getting a cup of coffee this morning to find out that this is a very special day. Not only is it Juneteenth, but it is also Mike Lewis's birthday.
It is indeed.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You are like my son in that you don't like attention brought on you, and so I'm not going to do a whole lot of fanfare other than a rendition of Happy Birthday. Just kidding.
You saw me just like go cold in that moment.
Mike, I have a giant sombrero for you.
Thank you both. It's very sweet of you.
But I do want to say that, I mean, you are just one of my favorite people for so many reasons, including the fact that we are the same age, and this is your 60th birthday. So
and I know.
It's a big one. It's a milestone one.
And perhaps if you were remodeling your house and actually discovered some money, maybe because it's my birthday, I would get some. But if it wasn't my birthday, I'd suspect I wouldn't get anything.
I know
Certainly not from Chef.
I know for a fact if you discovered that money in the wall, I would be getting a cut.
Well, the fact is, I need to discover some money in a wall. If I lose our bet to go to Canlis and have dinner, which is we've had this bet going now. If you folks haven't heard of it, you've probably heard me mention it before. We have a running bet whether or not
Travis
Kelce and Taylor Swift actually get married. The rumor is if the rumor that they actually did get married is true, I owe Ursula. I mean, the way I look at it, I win either way. I get to have dinner with Ursula, which is cool. But I would rather actually have her pay for it, candidly. And so we'll see what happens.
I've already eyeballed the menu at Canlis, and I'm just, I'm looking forward to that
meal. And they have a new chef. So.
That's what I heard, too. Okay, coming up at 11:30, speaking of money, speaking of restaurants, we got to bring up tipping again because there's this brand new survey. Yeah. Do we need to? There's a
I'm
brand
always happy
new survey.
to talk about it.
Well, and what I love is that Chef worked in the industry and you own a bar, so I think you guys are intimately knowledgeable about this topic, tip culture. And there is this new survey that says Washington and California, but we are among the worst, or we are the two worst states when it comes to average tips.
Can I also ask for the text line, 888-973-5476, if you have weigh in on the tip thing, people frequently, but my actual question is this is the survey I've always wanted to do. I'd love to go. In fact, I just go ahead and do this. Go to Pioneer Square, get around the Stadium District. You could do it in my neighborhood as well, but it's more of a monoculture there because there's only one. There's basketball, the Storm, and then there is hockey, right? And ultimately, they'll have the NBA. But what I want to do is which sports fans are the best and the worst tippers? Oh. I've heard stories about this, and I think widely it's held that Seahawks fans are the best tippers. Oh, without equivocation.
Okay, but don't share who's the worst. I want people to guess who's the worst.
Why don't you guess which sports fans are the worst tippers in Pioneer Square? And this is just anecdotal. I've not done an official survey, but I've done a lot of questions. I've asked this question for years.
Okay, and then what is the one place where you're like, you know what? I know they want me to tip, and I just absolutely refuse. Is there that one area where it's expected or now it's at least asked and you're like, nah, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I think I have one that I'm just so reluctant still. Okay, text us 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. Right now, though, it is time for Agree to Disagree, brought to you by Guardian Roofing and Gutters.
One of these days, we just got to take off the gloves, just really go at it.
You know what? It's a holiday. I'm going to start off with just a softball at you, Mike. Since it is your birthday today, and I mentioned the sombrero, does anyone actually enjoy when the wait staff comes around, there's all the clapping, the happy birthday, and you become this? Does anyone actually enjoy that?
One category of people. Anyone who you hear use the term, my birthday month, that person appreciates the clapping and cheering, a Baskin Robbins kind of a celebration for their birthday. Short of that, no.
Ursula?
Do you like having the whole staff come and clap? You probably do.
I sure do.
Yeah, I bet you do. Do you have a birthday month?
I don't have a birthday month.
Okay.
I do not even have a birthday week.
Oh, wow. All right.
I do have a
birthday
one day, and I'm going to do it up big if I can. And I love the sweet sentiments that are shared on that day. I love if we go out and the wait staff does their little thing. I mean, they look like they have now.
They hate that.
Okay,
Come on.
They all have tables to bus.
I know exactly. Some people, though, I have seen it where they look like, oh my God, do I have to do this again?
Especially if you're in a family
energy,
restaurant, because you're going to have to do that like 6 times a shift.
If that's the energy, then I don't want it. Just keep it to yourself. But I loved it. Like, for example, on the cruise, I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
They do it on the cruise?
Yes.
But the cruise, that is the culture of a cruise. I mean, if they're not celebrating birthdays, whatever else are they doing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's be honest, though. I mean, 90% of all the birthday songs and celebrations in restaurants where the wait staff gathers around, get the crazy hat or whatever, 90% of those are done as punishment to the birthday person.
Entirely.
Most people do it because they want to embarrass the person whose birthday it is, not because they want to enjoy it.
I have personally arranged for it when it wasn't someone's birthday, just because I knew
that is so funny. That is so funny. Okay, that's cruel. Now, one thing that I had to learn this time around, our youngest son turned 25, and he did not want, he just said, Mom, I don't like birthdays.
Right.
I don't. So we just kind of did a low-key thing. We went to the Mariners game, and we just did it that way. Well, it turns out, so then he went and visited his
But you put it on the
girlfriend.
scoreboard?
I thought about it. I
We're
posted
the
on Facebook.
broadcasters. You know people.
I know.
You could have done this.
I could have paid just a nominal amount to do it, but I didn't.
Right.
I did do a little post on my Facebook page. But what was so funny is his girlfriend sent it. So he's visiting his girlfriend now in Montreal, and she sent a video, and her family had a little party for him, and made it a surprise thing.
Nice.
It was very sweet. And you know what? Even though he says, I don't like big to-dos, I could tell he was super happy.
He's got a French-Canadian girlfriend?
Yes.
Nice.
Good for him. Gabby threw me a surprise birthday once. I was
Did you appreciate it? You were mad.
No. I came home from work, like I was cooking at the time, I think. I was like exhausted and dirty, and there's like not only my close friends, but like people I hadn't talked to for years. I was like, oh, hi.
The last surprise party that was thrown for me was when I was getting ready to leave on a trip to backpack around Europe. I was 22 years old. And my girlfriend and family did a surprise. But I was working that day, and I was working on a breaking news story. It was my first newspaper job. I was 2 hours late. I didn't know. They finally had to call and say, there's a party for you. Would you just turn loose of the story and get here? The last surprise party anyone ever threw for me.
That's so funny. And Larry in the 206 wants to know if I wear a tiara at my birthday dinner, and I don't.
Good for
no
you.
crowns.
But if somebody gave you one, you would wear it.
You would wear it.
Probably.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we gotta follow up on one of our top stories this morning because we didn't really get into this on your end. So this Seattle favorite restaurant, Din Tai Fung, Ursula, one of your faves, they're spending about $600,000 settling allegations of wage theft and shortchanging workers on meal and rest breaks. And my question for this topic is it reasonable to expect all employers to be able to give people a 10-minute break every 4 hours and a 30-minute lunch break for every 8? What do you think, Ursula?
I don't think it's reasonable. And when we talked about this, you talked about those situations where unless there is so much extra staffing that you can cover all those breaks, it's just not going to happen. But I think the employer is under obligation, and ignorance is not an excuse, to know what the state law is and then compensate in some kind of way, whether it is, hey, I know that you're not going to have your state mandated 30 minutes, in an 8-hour shift. So how about I pay you for this amount, or add that half hour,
an additional half hour, or an hour,
exactly.
Like
yes,
that.
I think that there's a way that the company or the employer can make it fair.
Because
recognizing sometimes you just can't do it.
And what happens also in some places, especially if there is any sort of a tip split, is that you have this tension between like a bartender, not wanting an additional bartender there because now you're splitting tips and you would otherwise make a lot more money on your own. And so you'd rather not have that extra person so you can take a break and you'll just work through it and then get paid. When like we always make sure everyone's happy with the work environment entirely. But to Chef's point, this is not a necessarily a realistic standard that fits every business.
I think I agree. There's certain professions where it's extremely hard.
Yes.
But I think what happens most often is that companies will say they'll provide the breaks, or they'll have the managers be like, okay, supervisors, make sure everyone gets their lunch break. But the way that they schedule does not allow for it to actually happen. You have to fit in this many billable hours into the day. You need to see this quota worth of clients. You need to get X amount of work done. And it becomes logistically impossible for those people to do it. And in those circumstances, I think that's garbage. And honestly, with Din Tai Fung, that is such a large restaurant that I think you could probably accommodate it.
Oh, and with a sizable staff. If I've been there,
like
you've been there.
26 cooks in the back.
Yeah.
The idea that you can't rotate one person out every half an hour or so
Especially
for a lunch, I think you could do it.
When you have people doing essentially assembly line work, like
Correct.
they're
Oh,
making
my
dumplings,
goodness, yes.
dumpling. Like
Yes.
give them some time away from that. They're not doing a varied job. They're doing essentially an assembly line job, right?
Which is probably why they went ahead and paid that big fine.
Exactly.
All right, a little weightier topic here. Fascinating story from Business Insider. We keep hearing about AI's dazzling future, better medicine, perfect translation, robot companions. But there's a very real cost to that. So they found 1,240 data centers across the U.S., nearly 4 times as many as there were in 2010. And they aren't just, humming away quietly. They guzzle millions of gallons of water a day. They chew through so much electricity that some cities are watching power bills for residents climb and the local rivers run dry. Virginia has 329 of these alone, and nearly a quarter of the state's entire power use just goes to keeping them cool and online. Now, local companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google as well, they're going to be spending over $320 billion this year expanding the data centers. And this is just to feed the growing need for AI. Cities are handing out big tax breaks. You've got a lot of energy for these is not clean. Mike, do you think that this is worth it? Like, is the public benefit going to outweigh the public cost?
No, so Microsoft's current market valuation is $3.5 trillion, give or take whatever minute it is on the stock market, something like that. The real question is, should Microsoft be building its own power plants? And its own power plants that are, say, green to some degree, like, say, solar. I don't know if they would be able to do their own hydroelectric. It'd be a difficult pass through to do like something like that. But there's a variety of things that they could do to generate their own power, because the problem right now is they're building giant data centers and they're just, we'll just pay the power bill. But that power bill is actually pulling energy away from cities, from municipalities, from other things. I think there should be some way that they should, at $3.5 trillion, I think you can afford to build your own power plant to power your own, or at least a portion of your own. A portion of your own data center. Because remember, these data centers, they're not building them to help us. They're building them because they're a profit center for them. This what they are doing with AI is they're pouring billions into this because they're going to make trillions from it.
That's right.
Make them build their own power plants on this, because they're pulling it away from the things that we pay for in our taxes. And I don't need my tax dollars. We subsidize enough business.
I was going to say, would you object to tax credits though?
I would.
Yes, I do.
I think that they should find, and the problem also is a lot of the power that they're pulling from these things, especially when you get these the data centers in Texas and in the South and in the East, you're getting from natural gas-fired plants to coal-fired plants that are also generating, the carbon footprint for AI is extraordinary. Anyone, you should go out and read some of the stories. You can actually ask AI about this, and literally AI will tell you what the carbon footprint is for doing what it's doing, right? It's an issue.
Does it just boggle your mind, the amount of talk and discussion we have surrounding AI, and then you just think 2 years ago, We just weren't talking about it?
Well, but the thing also is that what I think about more is the really incredibly dumb, immediate, trivia level questions that I'm asking ChatGPT or Perplexity, and I'm just like, and I'm chewing through a river somewhere. Or the things that I am asking for are not. I'm not a radiologist. I'm not trying to diagnose something. I'm literally asking trivia grade questions, or maybe a little bit of history on something, or sometimes prep for the show.
Yes.
But think about how little we used it and how perpetually we use it now. And we are, like everyone listening, a good portion of them are starting to use it or have been using it as well. And we're not necessarily using it for the most important things on the planet. Sometimes we're just settling a bar bet.
Can I admit something about AI and what I did for the first time ever last weekend?
Did you make a friend with AI?
No, but I look at conversations that Chef has with AI. I'm like, that's just too personal. That is just getting too, buddy, you and AI. No, what I want to bring up, the one thing I want to bring up.
Hold that expression.
Yeah, hold that expression. I know, exactly. The thing that I want to bring up is I actually went to AI and I said, because I was trying to write a card on the fly.
No. Did it help?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
And I felt almost embarrassed because I take great pride in my writing.
Yeah.
And I went ahead and said, can you help write a message for my son? And I described how he is, how he reacts to a lot of attention and blah, blah, blah. And it was beautiful. It was what it wrote. I was like, I felt guilty.
Did your son write anything back to you?
No, but he said, Mom, that was really sweet. Thank you.
Oh, but what if your son should have done is gone to AI and responded?
I did the same thing.
And maybe you can just have AI talk to each other on birthdays.
I mean, how sad and pathetic is that, though?
I think
you and
I,
but that's
we
the tool.
write for
It's
a
not
living.
sad and pathetic though, because like the whole idea. I am the person that people come to for help me out, write this
Yes,
card.
me too.
Things so this is no different. You're having something help you. You're looking at it. You're making changes to it. You're sending it along to somebody, and it actually got the job done. How many times have you stared at the blank page?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'm like, okay, what can I say this time that's original?
I think that's absolutely fine.
Well, and there's a huge difference between saying, give me a birthday card for my wife, right? And it will spit out something generic that you will absolutely see at Hallmark or wherever. But if you provide specific inputs, like the thing that I love about her is this is what's unique about her personality. This is what kind of a mom she is. This is how she takes care of our family, right? And you give it those bullet points and then say, now craft this into a card that shows how much I appreciate her. It will do the language portion for you. We were having this conversation earlier this morning, Ursula, but there are a lot of really smart people who don't know how to communicate very well. Right, either they're poor writers, or they're not good speakers, or
but they're brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. And so long as you can provide AI with the framework of your thoughts, it can fill in the rest for you in a way that appears brilliant.
But I would caution people on this. You've written cards to whomever probably before.
Right. If it's outside your style.
Well, not even outside your style. Sometimes the flaw in the writing and the weirdness and maybe the misuse, all that stuff is kind of what makes it personal. So careful with this, right? Because you can actually make it so smooth that it suddenly has lost all the character that actually is you, and that's who they really want the card from is you.
Mike,
so remember that.
Mike, any good cheater knows that you have to make a couple mistakes, right? Just little ones.
Like card counters, I understand. You got to lose a couple hands on purpose just to make sure that the house doesn't get onto you. I get it.
Okay. Talking about crazy tip culture coming up next. What is the one area where you're like, I'm still not going to tip? Is there one? 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO.
The Jake and Spike Show.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
Seattle is the nation's most male-skewed major city. There's more men in Seattle. They say in the article here, they said the most masculine city, but I absolutely disagree with that.
You've seen the men in this town.
Exactly.
Please. It's not like it's 80-20.
No,
that's when it's hard to meet a lady.
That's true.
When there's 4 guys for every girl. That's when it's here come the bride's time.
The Jake and Spike Show.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
On KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM.
This hour is brought to you by DUI Heroes.
Hey there, Dawn Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. Today is the last day to save big during our mid-year clearance spectacular. All 8 of our Puget Sound showrooms are open until 6 p.m. This is your last chance for incredible savings on one-of-a-kind saltwater hot spring spas, plus deep discounts on pre-owned tubs, swim spas, and saunas. Do not miss this. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub.
Looking for a simple solution to hair loss this summer? Get the same breakthrough one-day treatment I received at Advanced Hair during their once-yearly summer savings event. Your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day, and Advanced Hair guarantees it will grow. Take advantage of your flexible summer calendar and get the most hair for your dollar during their best offer of the year. For details and a free consultation, call 425-449-8185, advancedhair.com.
Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. You may have known us for our unique cabinet refacing projects, but I'd like to introduce our full bathroom remodeling service. New tub, shower, floors, counters, and of course cabinetry. Same commitment to quality and value, same full service, just another way to serve the folks of Puget Sound. Call today for a free in-home consultation. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600, 425-485-1600, or heritagehomecraft.com.
4,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year in Washington state. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda with Northwest Hope and Healing. We provide a lifeline to breast and gynecologic cancer patients. Join us at Life in Color, a brunch auction and fashion show on August 17th at the Columbia Collective in Woodinville for an unforgettable afternoon celebrating 25 years of hope and support. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 17th at nwhopeandhealing.org. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Do you need glasses or contacts and you're now at the age where you also need readers? K2 Vision RLE is the permanent solution to eliminate the need for all those. Hey, it's Doctors King and Kopstein from K2 Vision. Andy, for those nearing age 50 or so, refractive lens exchange can be a great alternative to LASIK.
That's right, Joe. K2 Vision RLE is a terrific permanent solution for a lifetime of great vision. The older we get, we experience the dysfunction of our natural lens, which affects both distance vision and requires the use of reading glasses. Plus, after K2 Vision RLE, you will never develop a cataract.
And like LASIK, K2 Vision RLE is quick and painless. The question is, which procedure is right for you?
After replacing more than 100,000 failing lenses, we have the experience to tell you if it's your right time for RLE.
Schedule your free Zoom consultation with us about K2 Vision RLE to get your eyes seeing young again, permanently.
Go to k2visionrle.com. k2visionrle.com.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-489-5660. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-489-5660 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-489-5660 to see if you qualify. That's 800-489-5660.
An illegal alien from Guatemala charged with raping a child in Massachusetts. An MS-13 gang member from El Salvador accused of murdering a Texas man. A Venezuelan charged with filming and selling child pornography in Michigan. These are just some of the heinous migrant criminals caught because of President Donald J. Trump's leadership. I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Under President Trump, attempted illegal border crossings are at the lowest levels ever recorded, and over 100,000 illegal aliens have been arrested. If you are here illegally, you're next. You will be fined nearly $1,000 a day, imprisoned, and deported. You will never return. But if you register using our CBP Home app and leave now, you could be allowed to return legally. Do what's right. Leave now. Under President Trump, America's laws, border, and families will be protected.
Sponsored by the United States Department of Homeland Security.
This week at Dimitro's Jazz Alley, iconic guitarist Bill Frisell returns with his trio, featuring Thomas Morgan and Rudy Royston. Catch 4 nights of genre-defying jazz, June 19th through the 22nd. Tickets at jazzalley.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning. Good afternoon now. I'm Jillian Raftery. A barrage of missiles from Iran hit a major hospital in southern Israel, injuring dozens of people. Dr. Dana Brayman says staff had moved most patients to an underground area, preventing most injuries.
This morning, we understood how lucky or how smart was this decision.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president is hoping his special envoy Steve Witkoff can make progress in the conflict.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. That's a quote directly from the president.
In Portland, a Department of Homeland Security facility is under heavy guard after almost 2 weeks of protests there. Federal Protective Services officers advanced on a crowd that gathered last night. Civilians lit off fireworks and blocked transports. 2 people were arrested. More than 150 years ago, John Cana escaped slavery in Texas. He came to the Northwest, fought for the Union in the Civil War, and later pushed for civil rights. Now the city of Federal Way has renamed Cana Park in honor of John and his wife, Mary. The Seattle Times reports the park sits on what today is part of their land. It happened just in time for Juneteenth, today's federal holiday marking the end of slavery in the United States. The Sounders have to pull off the upset today to have any chance to advance in the FIFA Men's Club World Cup. Coach Brian Schmetzer on the key to beating Atletico Madrid.
We'll have to make sure the players are clean, don't give balls away, because that's going to lead for some transition moments for them.
The Sounders will have home field advantage. Today's match at Lumen Field starts at 3 o'clock. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, we will start in the South Sound. Starting to see some traffic build on I-5, southbound in Olympia, actually, which is a little bit unusual for this time of day. And then off and on through Tacoma in both directions on I-5. I don't see any collisions reported there. There might be something I'm not seeing. So if you have something, hit us up on the text line. We also have a little bit of traffic in and out of downtown Seattle on I-5. The Federal Way to Seattle drive is stretching to 34 minutes at this point, and Linwood to Seattle is about 43 minutes. We also have Renton to Bellevue on 405 northbound, has never really recovered from the morning commute. That is 25 minutes at this point. But the lake bridges are looking clear, and our North Sound drive is looking like a speed limit drive all the way to Everett. This report brought to you by Bucky's Complete Auto. Safety first comes with no credit financing at Bucky's Complete Auto for oil changes, brakes, tune-ups, wiper blades, and factory maintenance. Check the Bucky's near you at buckys.com. Weather brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Not a warm day, 70 degrees. Break from the rain today, but it comes back tomorrow. High of 68 tomorrow. It is 60 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show. Gee is out today. Mike Lewis is in. And it is a discussion we had on Seattle's Morning News, and I wanted to bring it back up here because it is always something that gets folks going. And that is the topic of tipping. And the question is, are we really some of the worst tippers in the country? According to new data from restaurant tech firm Toast, our state ranks near the bottom of the list when it comes to tipping at full-service restaurants. The only state that's worse than us is California, according to them. So nationally, they say the average tips in the first quarter of this year, 19.4%. But Toast claims that Washington diners tip, on average, 17.8%. California, slightly worse at 17.3%. They say that Delaware, West Virginia, and New Hampshire are at the top of the list, tipping 21% or more on average. And I said that I think that this, first of all, this study is based on very limited data, but it gives us a chance to chat about it. I don't think that we are worse tippers or anywhere close to the worst tippers in the country?
Well, I mean, a couple of things, right? The communities that they're sampling here are expensive communities. So you're spending a lot on your meal anyway. You're buying a $19 sandwich, right? Literally. And this is not an exaggeration in Seattle whatsoever. And you're also helping fund a much higher minimum wage than in most other areas. So if people are tipping less as a result of that, I mean, it's a pretty natural reaction. It's funny that Toast is doing this, because if anyone is responsible for the anger in tip culture, it's companies like Toast and Square. It is. I mean, literally, we get solicited by Toast all the time. We nearly went to one of their point of sale systems, but there's problems. The point of sale systems, from a technical aspect, work very well. They're actually really great ways of tracking inventory, staff time, all kinds of stuff like that. But the downside is the tip culture pushback all started when people were standing at counters and someone flips a screen facing you, and you're tipping before you've received a product. 2, you're tipping with a line behind you. And 3, you're tipping sometimes because you're just handed something. And this explosion has been a direct result of Toast, of Square, it is not the same situation as when you're in a restaurant and you're actually having a long-term interaction, a 2 or 3 hour interaction with a wait person who has done multiple trips to your table and maybe recommended a bottle of wine, things like that. That is something that is a very different thing than getting a muffin and being asked to add a 20% premium on being handed a muffin.
So I want to know, when I go to Starbucks and I get an Egg Bites and I'm walking out, I'm not even getting a coffee, I'm not sitting in the restaurant, what should I be tipping?
Well, so
a smile.
If I put
$1 or $2 in the tip jar, I feel like, is that enough?
Oh, I think absolutely that's enough. I mean, but I also think that when it's purely transactional, someone literally pulled something out of a case, handed it to you, and you walked out, I'm comfortable. I mean, it's a much better minimum wage now, and I'm not an opponent of the new minimum wage. It's a much better minimum wage now in Seattle than it has been. It's high. That is not, if you are getting a discrete item and you're walking away and you're not doing multiple, it's not table service, or it's not something where they had to craft. I mean, if someone's making you your complicated coffee order that it takes you a minute and a half to spit out, tip on that. If someone is handing you something out of the case, I'm comfortable, and I'm a tipper. I tend to tip in almost every environment because that's the business I'm in. But I completely understand people who don't want to if they're just handed something.
Okay, how about if you have a meal for your family, and so now there are 3 or 4 takeout containers?
You mean if you're picking up takeout food? Is that food being delivered to you, or are you picking it up?
No, you're picking it up.
You're picking it up? You're getting in it kind of depends on the situation. Again, I'm in the business, so I never want to be seen as someone who doesn't. I don't.
So is it more about being seen or thinking that they deserve the tip? Given they're just
depends on
literally
the place, and it kind of depends on the food. I mean, if I show up at a Pagliacci's, let's use that. Let's use Pagliacci's as an example. I pick up, and I'm close enough to one that I can go pick up the pizza. I still tend to tip on that, but I like that. Like, the service is always terrific. The pizza is always of a chain. It's good quality. Yeah. So I do on that one. Would I?
What do you tip though? I mean, are you still at 20? Starting at 20%?
I probably drop a little below that.
I'm 10. Max.
Yeah.
If I'm so you just kind of do a nominal tip versus.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like when you have a to-go order at most places, it does take someone away from table service or from their hosting duties, because often they have to pack it all up, put it in the boxes, get all the silverware, all that kind of stuff.
And it's a shared tip environment.
Yeah.
So that is going to be divided among a whole bunch of
pizza. It drives me crazy tipping for pizza. Because I'm like, the cook put it in the box for you and you handed it to me. Why am I tipping you? Is it just because you asked me if I wanted garlic and Parmesan and chili flakes?
Well, except that, say in a place like, let's use Pagliacci's again as an example, because I think it's a good chain.
Shared tip environment?
Well, it's a shared tip environment.
Sure.
And those people also rotate in a variety of jobs. Like the person who is working the counter then will also be making pizzas at some point or making salads at another point. So they're going to be doing all jobs. You're just happy.
I don't go to Pagliacci. I go to another one.
Oh, fair enough.
It's very delineated.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, here's another question. This helps me. And I think this helps a lot of people too, because now you also see the service charge thing. And then there's that line, optional tip.
So,
if it's the service charge, what are you doing?
So the service charge thing is become problematic. There's a restaurant ownership group, and I'm not going to mention any names. I know
exactly who you're talking about.
Who does a very, very, like they've cost their staff money because they've added a service charge that does not go to the staff. And I've talked to staff there, and I'm very familiar with what's going on. I had a long talk with a bartender there and explained to me, like, because it's like two separate service charges.
Yes.
Like, it's kind of weird, right? And this other thing, like, just raise the price on your food. If you are doing a service charge because of the higher minimum wage, which is kind of a sleazy way of doing it, just raise the price on your food and cover that.
Yeah.
It's simple. Like you do have a mechanism
your
for paying
employees
for
are
that.
not getting stiff because I am going to make a smaller tip.
Now you're getting them stiffed because they're going to get a smaller tip as a result of you adding this service charge, which is your, I guess, protest about higher minimum wage. But you're also getting a higher income clientele in this neighborhood of the specific place that I'm talking about. So you're benefiting from these higher wages as well as paying them. I think that's kind of a sleazy way to operate.
Is there any place that you don't tip even though it's thrown out there at you?
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's become pervasive. Like if I do my own landscaping to the extent that that's just kind of just watering things and mowing the lawn, right? There are tip environments where I'm a little bit surprised. The butcher shop would be a good the butcher shop. Like
if you still go to a butcher shop.
Well, I'll name it. Like when I go to, because the bar is in Lower Queen Anne. Sometimes if I'm passing through B&E Meats, which is at the top of the hill, and good place, really nice people, always very friendly, very efficient, nice. But sometimes I'm just handed something, right? If I pick up like the belly strips, the salmon belly strips, which I have a weakness for. Oh, I know. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm probably going to do it again today. But I mean, it's pulled out of the cooler again. That's out of the cooler. Put in a bag, hand it to me. I'm less inclined to tip on that. Now, if I go there and I need them to butterfly something, let's just say I'm making you
a crown roast.
Totally. Something like something that you would like, you need sort of specialty service. 100% I would tip on that, but maybe not on just being handed something.
Yeah, I see Dan, I see John, I see a bunch of people saying if they're going to do to go, 10% max is what they're saying.
And also I got to say, the other thing that's really, really enrages me is the default at there's a bar that I used to go to, don't anymore. The default is 25%.
Yeah,
that's not
rude.
fair to make them have to, and that's the only thing you see. You have to go to custom tip and then drop it from there. I think that is actually not doing your staff any favors at all. And again, we don't do any of that. We do very old school. You get handed a receipt with a tip line on it. If you walk out without signing it, we won't know until you're gone.
Yeah.
Like we don't know anything about what
pressure.
we allow people to make their own decision in the privacy of their own heart.
Love that.
Consequently, people are really great about tipping in our bar.
See, isn't that funny?
Totally,
isn't
right?
Isn't that funny? Yes. Okay, still ahead, we hear ya and words to live by. This is the Gee and Ursula Show.
You never know what's in store each morning once you hit the road.
We've got a major traffic alert in effect right now.
Well, you're getting ready every morning. Make us part of your routine.
What morning, huh?
Yeah. Got off to an early start.
Just tell your smart speaker to play KIRO Newsradio or stream us on the app.
Both directions of I-5 are closed.
We'll help you get where you're going faster.
Maybe bail at 512.
KIRO Newsradio. We're on your smart speaker, the app, and 97.3 FM.
We're here with our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage, the reverse mortgage expert. Steve, mortgage rates have been dropping this year. How could that help seniors struggling to stay in their homes?
Lower mortgage rates means seniors can now get more money from their equity with a reverse mortgage. You can pay off your existing mortgage, have extra money to help with today's high cost of living, or believe it or not, you can even buy a home with a reverse mortgage. There are many uses, and best of all, you have no mortgage payments the rest of your life.
But as you always say, a reverse mortgage is not for everyone.
That's right. Avoid the high-pressure sales pitch from those out-of-state call centers. I give you a consultation, not a sales pitch. I'll tell you if a reverse mortgage is right for you, and I always tell you if it's not.
Honest advice you can trust from the reverse mortgage experts. Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts and debt consolidation specialists too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today for a free in-home estimate. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Do you notice sounds coming from your crawl space or attic, or possibly stale or foul odors in your home? This could be that rodents have gotten into your attic and crawl and have made it their home. They tear up the insulation to make nests to have babies. They contaminate it with their biological waste, which can be harmful to your health. And they ruin your home's energy blanket, costing you thousands of dollars a year. If you even think you may have a problem, call Insulation Northwest today, and we will come to your home as soon as tomorrow and perform a free, no-obligation inspection to determine what the problem is. This inspection normally costs $199, but it's yours free just for calling today. If we discover any problem with rodents in your home, we can get them out and keep them out and restore your home's protective insulation blanket back to brand new condition. Let Insulation Northwest give peace and comfort back to you and your family and save you thousands of dollars in energy savings. Call Insulation Northwest today, the real insulation company.
InsulationNorthwest.com. At Clear Choice Dental Implant Centers, we get that your teeth, your budget, and your story are all unique to you, which is why our experts who specialize in dental implants will build a custom solution around each patient's needs. With personalized treatment plans and third-party financing options, we'll help you get your new teeth on your terms. Visit clearchoice.com or call 888-SMILE-05 to schedule your free consultation today and let us help Seattle start smiling again.
Office is owned by Dr. Alfonso Pinheiro.
Stop Medicare fraud. Report anything suspicious to the Washington State Health Insurance Benefits Advisors known as SHIBA. If you suspect Medicare fraud, call 800-562-6900. 800-562-6900.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Reutin, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
People matter isn't just a saying at Harnish Auto Family. It's how they do business. For over 40 years, they've built a stellar reputation on trust, respect, and great deals. Visit HarnishAutoFamily.com to find your next car. Harnish Auto Family. People matter.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
With that, we are done with our Mike Lewis birthday edition of the Gee and Ursula Show.
Yep, back again next year.
And again, happy birthday, happy 60th to you. Yeah. I'll stop there. I'll go against my normal proclivity to just try to go overboard when it comes to birthdays. Okay, we are going to share some of your messages to us, and I'm going to start because unfortunately Mike doesn't have them.
Nope, I got them now.
Okay, so go ahead.
All right, let's see. Am I at the top of the screen here? I
So
am.
where do
All right,
you
so
not tip?
Where do you not tip? Thomas in North Bend. I just went to a Mariners game on Father's Day after seeing the prices for a beer and garlic fries. There's no way that I could afford to tip. Stadiums are the one place I don't. Restaurants, definitely and generously.
Oh, nice.
That's a fair standard.
Yeah, I think so too. Emily in Kirkland says, I am so over this tipping debate. I agree it would be great to get rid of tipping. Actually, I disagree with that. I think tipping should remain. But that cannot happen without major minimum wage reform. My fear is we will get rid of tips and do nothing to replace that income. Tipping isn't mandatory. If you don't want to tip, hit no tip. If you feel guilty pressing no, that is a personal problem.
I agree with you 100%, Emily. Microsoft layoffs from the 425, longtime Microsoft employee, 30 years in the trenches. Scariest day of the year is July 1st, the first day of the new fiscal year. This is an excellent point this 425 is making. That's when reorgs and layoffs hit. The scoop this time, the sales and tech folks handling small customers are on the chopping block. But honestly, with so many layers in the sales org, they should have seen the writing on the wall. You can't get rid of sales until after June, though. That's the biggest quarter of the year. End of the year deals to close. Then come July, heads are going to roll. Amazon calls it unregrettable attrition.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a nice term.
That's definitely someone who's in the know. On Din Tai Fung, dinged for failure to provide breaks. 425 says, when it comes to wage theft, Chef is absolutely right about how companies shortchange and pigeonhole their employees. I'm in the service industry too. I work as an arborist, mainly doing production. I'm expected to hit a man-hour rate within an 8-hour window, but that window never accounts for drive time, prep time, routing, or breaks.
Excellent points.
My bosses love to remind us that we're required to take 2 10-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch, but realistically, the math doesn't add up. If you actually take those breaks, you've got maybe 5 hours left to meet the production goal, so we're stuck skipping the breaks, eating while driving, or pretending drive time counts as break time. It is messed up, but that's how they get away with it.
From Braden in Snohomish. I'm an electrician. I haven't taken a break at work for years and years. I also work a minimum of 14 hours a day.
I think he's his own boss?
Yeah, I know. Is he are you your own boss, Braden? Yikes.
It's time to text us, too.
Yeah, okay. New state patrol enforcement using real driving data. Jeff in Bonnie Lake says, if you just practice abstinence, never speed, you can't get a ticket. But in the real world, most of us practice safe speeding, knowing where the police are generally patrolling or setting up speed traps.
From Lillian Mason, I speed when it's safe, not when traffic is around. No tickets ever.
So she's also doing safe speeding.
Yeah.
Mike in Portland says, I don't think the number of tickets is an indication of whether you're a safe driver or not. I think it's how many accidents you've been in. How many accidents have you been in?
Well, the crashing of my brother's car when I was 16 years old, and then none since then. I mean, one where a car hit me, but that was 2 where a car hit my motorcycle once and a car hit, but these were not neither of those were my fault.
Yeah,
so.
I've been in 2. One was my fault. Mike wants insurance trackers in our cars. Heidi in North Bend says, actually, State Farm does that. The Drive Safe and Save program. I have a little doohickey in my car that tracks how safe I am, and I get a $40 a month discount.
Is that the correct spelling for doohickey?
I love it. I love it. I totally get you, Heidi.
From Robin P. Olive. Mike, there are already safe driving programs like that. I opt out.
Okay, and then one person on our discussion about sexual recession among young people today. 309 says, less sex outside of marriage is a good thing for society. Y'all are wild.
I just want people to be happy, man.
I did point out that the teen pregnancy rates are down.
Yes.
I did point out some positives in all of this. So it's not all bad. Okay, with that, we are going to do our words to live by. And this is dedicated to you, Mike.
Oh,
and for anyone who missed our discussion and scenarios, this is why this was inspired by you. People of character do the right thing even if no one else does. Not because they think it's going to change the world, but it's because they refuse to be changed by the world. I think that epitomizes you.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. I mean, again, should we break open the walls here in the studio and find a safe?
If someone finds $100,000, I want to cut.
We're splitting it, and we're not going to talk about it on air.
I sleep just fine at night.
I know you do. Chef, thank you. And Ian, great job on the board. People are loving your music. Thank you so much. Y'all, I hope you stick around. Jake and Spike are coming up next. I know they have a great show for you, and we'll do this again tomorrow.
Hope you have as much fun as we have. So long, everybody.
KIRO News Radio is right there with you.
A big story developing this morning
on your smart speaker before you head out the door.
Get the latest live from KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey.
Huge impacts for Boeing and Boeing workers.
The office, the gym, anywhere.
Water, like taxes, goes all the way down to the bottom, so it'll either come out of the employee's paycheck or the lack of raise.
KIRO News Radio. We're on YouTube, our app, your smart speaker, and 97.3 FM.
My perfect day has sand, salt water, and friends. But my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out of the moment. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, most people saw 90% clearer skin, and many were even 100% plaque-free at 4 months. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Need a new roof but not in the budget? A new roof doesn't have to break the bank. Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Right now, State Roofing and Exteriors is offering 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's 2 years with no payments while getting the protection your home deserves. But this offer won't last forever. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to get on our summer schedule now. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that, and third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better.